Right on time, right on time. All right, all right. Greetings, everyone. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for stopping by, TGIF. I appreciate it. I know a lot of people are at home because why? You were told to be there. And that's just it. The bottom line. Let's see who we got. Hello, Zero. Don Teasy. Take it easy. And DeAndre. Ron 314. And look at the sweet lady. Hey, Callie Jane. And the nighttime, right time, or right time, nighttime DJ Music. Welcome, Jaden. What's up, good people? Nice to meet you, Jaden. Third World Ward. Sorry about that. Thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it. Today, well, what we're going to talk about. I have a smorgasbord of topics today. I titled it "Checks, Coronavirus, and Common Sense." So we'll be speaking a little bit of all of those things. And I always start off with my monologue, see how people are doing. Did I miss you, Miss Buckner? I'm sorry. That's my sweetie. Hey, how are you? Um, well, as far as with being at home, we're kind of forced to be at home because of this virus, the coronavirus. It started off with, a few days, um, and, what has turned into now everybody stay home, 6 feet apart, no work, no play, no nothing. That's where we are. Now, there was a stimulus package, if that's what you want to call it, that came out because I'm still wondering if we're going to end up having to pay that back. I haven't forgot about that $300 they gave each individual that we had to put on our taxes the next year. But nevertheless, um, if we do, we just do. If not everyone is prepared for this. People are one paycheck away from being just flat out in the hole. And that's just how it is. So at least it's something. And they have announced that it will be for a single person. That's $75,000 you can earn up to, and you will receive $1,200. If you're married, income up to $150,000 combined, you will receive $2,400. Children under 17, they will receive $500. Now, as far as everyone being able to get this, that's not so. There are a couple of people that will not be able to get it. And those that owe back child support will not be able to get it. Those that owe, no, those that are on SSI, they will not be eligible to receive it. And I am speaking of the United States because there have been several packages in different places. So, of course, I'm talking about the US. But SSI and those that owe back child support. And that's whether you're male or female. So don't get that twisted. So keep those things in mind. Now, there's some other news going on as far as with the real IDs. Those you had to have that by October this year, but that now is October of 2021. So you have an additional year, and that'll be for those who want to travel. It doesn't matter if it's just domestic, you would have to have a real ID. So again, they pushed that date to October 2021. Now, as far as those that were told to stay at home, which was everybody. When I went out to the grocery store, because you are allowed to do those, essential things, the grocery store, gas station, bank, and work. When I went near Lincoln Park, I seen some folks out there, some, teens, I guess you would say. They were playing something. Quite, I'm not quite sure. Was it basketball? They were playing something out there, and then you had the dog walkers and everything. But it was quite a bit of white people out there, and they were enjoying, lakefront. Some were walking dogs, some were just walking. And they have mentioned that, you can get out, take a stroll, nothing wrong with that, do that. They just ask that, you get in and get out. This is a time that they ask you to stay home. Most people wish and beg, oh, I wish I could stay home. I'm tired of going to work. I wish, well, some of those people wishes came true. But it got to a point where after Wednesday, and just so fun, it's kind of funny. I happened to see it on Wednesday. The next day, Thursday, which was yesterday, they made an announcement saying, "Hey, you guys can't be out here. You can't be doing that." So what they end up doing is having the police out there putting up the guardrails saying, "Hey, beaches, parks, they're closed. Go home. No, you can't be out here." So you do get some people that's gonna just kind of go overboard a little bit, but they put up the roadblock to say, get on out of here, get on gone. Now, when I was out Wednesday, what I found interesting was it was so quiet, nobody really out. And the few police that I did see, they were on that beautiful, magnificent mile. It was funny that they were parked in front of the Apple store. Because if you know, like I know in Chicago, there is nothing like a smash and grab. They have no problem doing that. And they have done that during the busy 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. They would do a smash and grab. So don't be surprised. I saw a couple of stores that were boarded up. And those were the people who thought, well, hey, I got something to lose. So I'm going to board up my store, look like we're out of business. And until this is all clear, we're going to keep it like that. And that's what ended up happening. Let's see what else I have to share with you. Also wanted to mention that your utilities, now they will not cut that off. I think I mentioned that to you on last week. Yes, I did. Okay, I got some message on my computer. Let me see what that is. Just 1 second. All right. Yeah, because I'll start reading what I'm start saying what I'm reading. So I have to literally stop. For you all that can do that, more power to you. I'm still learning. Okay. What was I saying? Um, oh, utilities. I mentioned that last week as far as with the utilities. Okay. So they will not turn them off. However, some things you're going to have to contact those that you owe. Please do not, and I beg you, please do not just go ahead and think that you can just stop paying and it's all going to be okay. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to contact the creditors and let them know, hey, please let them know. Just don't let that go, okay? Now, AT&T, they sent a notice out that they're giving people 60 days. They said, don't worry about it. We're not going to terminate your um, service. We're going to waive all late fees. We're not going to charge you anything. It's all good. However, it is upon request. So if you do have AT&T, and I really can only speak for Chicago and actually Illinois, um, it has to be upon request. So do contact AT&T. As far as with ComEd, which is Commonwealth Edison, that's our electric company, they're giving you to May 1st. They're saying don't worry about it, no fees or anything like that. But again, it is upon request. So do contact your creditors. Everybody's in this. No need to be ashamed. And I suggest if you have, don't use your last penny, your bottom dollar, if you don't have to. If you can get the stuff deferred, please do. I suggest that because cash is king. Now, also, I wanted to mention that um, those that's in the gig economy, as they say, that's self-employed as well. So you're talking about your Uber drivers, your hairstylists, people in that profession. As of right now, um, they're only offering 14 days of pay if you fall ill of the virus. Do, check that out. That may can change, but as I last researched, 14 days if you fall ill of the virus that they will pay you. That's it. Now, those here that are filing for unemployment that's eligible, instead of 26 weeks, they will give you 39 weeks. They're going to extend it. As far as how much you would get, they're going to add an additional $600 weekly to whatever benefits you get. And that'll be for only 4 months, though. That wouldn't be if you have to have the whole 39 weeks. They're not going to do it that way, just first 4 months. If you have student loan debt, they will defer that for 6 months. So that's really close to the end of the year. And I know that's going to give people a big breather because that is nothing to play with. Nothing to play with. Also, Chicago has announced that they're going to give $1,000 grant. So you don't have to pay that back, people, to help residents with their mortgage payments. And that's going to be, my understanding is going to be a one-time grant. Now, in New York, I did see the mayor there. He mentioned that he was fighting for a rent freeze for the entire year. So I guess those that's in New York, their rent prices increase and all those type of things. So they're fighting over there. So every, city and state is different. So that's why I ask that you all check for yourselves wherever you live, because the good news here may not be good news for you. So do check that. The total package was 6.2 trillion. Um, they're still looking as far as medical. That's still kind of up in the air, but they're going to take a look at it. They just wanted something that they can, kind of get passed right away, which this was fast. You got to give it to them. And they're saying that checks will be in the mail in April. Now, however you file your taxes for 2019, that's if you just filed it, this year for last year, or however you filed them in 2018, that's what they're going to go by as far as that income, that $75,000 individual cap and 150 thousand for the couple. They're going to go by that and the way that you received your payment, your refund. So was that paper check or electronic? That's how they're going to give you the payment. And I'll repeat one more time. Just because they won't cut your stuff off, just because people are giving you favor, please contact your creditor. Please do. And if you actually pay on time anyway, you are eligible to get one deferred payment. Well, late fee anyway. They will defer your late fee. They will give you that if you're a good customer. So that's something to think about. And that is my opening statement. Um, Again, I say this is Chicago. This is for Illinois. That's the latest information that I have. So, as far as with your state, please do check that out. And I'd like to welcome to the stage the classic Ruby, everyone.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Uh, good evening, good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I am doing well. You got to be happy you're in not COVID-19 health in these days, right? I mean, you never know with all the unsureness of the virus, what's going to be going on, right? So the sinus infection
Yeah.
persists, but it's not COVID-19. So,
Okay.
there's pros and cons, pros and cons.
Yeah, I understand.
hmm But yeah, it's funny hearing you talk about the stimulus packages because Canada is doing something similar. Apparently
Hmm.
ours is better. Of course it is. Um, the as in the the payoff is greater, and apparently it is not tied to whether you've done your taxes in the last year or two. Although from what I'm seeing, even if you haven't done your taxes in the last couple of years, they can calculate your income. So, for example, if you were someone who has extremely low income and that's why you didn't
Uh-huh.
do your taxes, they can calculate that you fall within that bracket and you'll still qualify. I'm not sure about people who actually should have been filing their taxes and they just didn't. They might be in a different boat. But in Canada, it's not based on that. So they're going to open this like portal. I don't know where the portal is, but they're going to open this portal and then you put your information in, and I don't know, somehow some magical money gets sent to you, transferred to you. I'm not really sure exactly how the money gets to you, but from what I hear, it's coming through a portal. So, and or you have to apply through a portal. I guess you let them know, hey, hi, yeah, I need the money now. It looks though, and I'm not sure because I feel like the one for America is for everybody. And the one in Canada, looking at the wording, it almost seems like you have to be someone who was specifically affected. Um, so like your wages were affected somehow. So um, you got laid off, lost your job, have been out on the job market, definitely can't get employed now, like something like that. You can't be somebody who was able to continue to work or was never working to begin with, as a Holly homemaker and still get a check. So I'm not sure. I think that they've kind of released the information. Hey, yeah, we're gonna send you guys money. Everyone chill. And then they're gonna iron out the little fine details later.
Okay.
We'll figure it out at some point once they're actually ready to really really make that happen. So
Okay.
that that's always good. I mean, as far as things go, it seems as though we do also have a freeze on like foreclosures and evictions and stuff like that as well. I think it's less variable here than it is in America, like because in America it's a state by state thing, whereas and I do think there's like a blanket kind of in Canada. You can't kick anyone out right now, um, but that doesn't apply to necessarily all your services, which is I'm going to say debatable, arguable, because some services are saying like, yeah, no matter what, we won't cut you off, and other services are kind of using the same rule that you would if it was, so for example, as long as the temperature is below this temp, okay, you get to keep your heat even if you didn't pay us. But as soon as the temperature goes up, you could lose your heat, even if COVID-19 is not over, unless, as you said, you make some
Uh-huh.
arrangements. So this is something, uh, you could be irresponsible, but call the companies, because a lot of the companies, you don't know if, for example, the company that you have whatever services with, there might be one word inside of the wording. It might be federally funded or federally insured or whatever. So on company, and that company that you were thinking, oh, you're fine with them. Oh, they're not federally insured. Therefore, everything's not free with them right now. So you do have to call the companies for sure and double check. You make arrangements with them. A lot of the companies, what I'm noticing is a lot of them want you to, even though they know why, like everyone's reason's the same, you kind of have to apply to allow things to be deferred or to be put off or to give you extra time. Um, so they want to see that you are still staying in contact with the company and making yourself available, and you're not just using this as like irresponsibility time. So there's some details. It's like they don't want you to just sit there and give up on being an adult.
There
You
you
still
go.
gotta you still gotta do some adulting, little bit, but still, gotta do some.
Yes.
Mhm.
All right. And then I had something to share.
Mm.
Um, since we're talking about which was the title here, the checks, coronavirus, and common sense. All right, let me get pull that up.
Mm.
Let's see here.
Well, you're obviously gonna show evidence of a lack of common sense because there's just no more evidence of common sense out there. So okay, let's let's see this.
Oh,
Come on, you know I'm
how
right.
did you know?
See, told you.
How did you know?
Because lately I
That's
want to
what I
leave the
want to know.
planet. Yeah, just everyone. Yeah. Okay. This crazy guy in this hair. Okay, what did crazy guy do?
Take it in, everyone. Take it in. You taking it in?
Yeah.
All right. All right. Let me go back to the other screen. Oh, goodness. He's 52 years old. I know this man should know better. But anyway, he lives in Niles, Illinois. That's one of the suburbs here.
Mm-hmm.
And he claimed that he has the corona bacteria. And he coughed at the officers during his DUI arrest.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't that creative?
Yeah. I heard this one. Mm-hmm.
So he's facing charges of battery of an officer and driving under the influence. On March 14th, officers responded to a report of a vehicle that were running for an extended period of time, and it was on the north side. Oh, okay, that's where he lived. 8300 block of North Milwaukee Avenue. Officer found, how you pronounce his name, Kuprowski, in a running SUV with a half-naked woman lying on the floor on the passenger side.
Naturally. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sounds right so far. Mm-hmm.
An ambulance was called and she was taken to the hospital. Kaprowski became irate during the GUI test and started coughing on the officers and told them that he had the corona bacteria. He was arrested
Mm.
after charging at officers and taken to the hospital.
Wow.
Yeah,
Mm.
it. Yeah.
Like really,
Oh,
really.
oh yeah.
This, I wonder about people, right? No, like seriously, like is it, do they want to make the news? and be like donkey of the day for the world? Like, is that what it is? Like, is it just like, no news, no press is bad press? Like, is that what it is like these days? Because this guy, I mean, he doesn't look like he's a millennial, but maybe he is in his heart, right? And so he just feels like as long as he gets to be on the news, period, then he's making his mama proud. Like, I don't know. I boggles my mind. Just boggles the mind.
Well, I wanted to
Oh
give a
my
little
god.
larger picture. In case
Dang,
you missed
dang.
the C boogie, you just can't. There you go.
Ugh. Yeah, no, I definitely needed to see that closer and brighter. It's
Just check it. Just
yeah,
check
yeah, no, it's not horrifying at all. Not at all. Yeah, like wow, this guy looks like okay, and okay, fine. When you're sick, because I'm gonna try to give this guy a little bit of benefit of the doubt or whatever. So when you're sick, you look rough, right? I know I look rough right now, but I mean, this guy looks rough. Like he looks like life was rough way before he caught coronavirus. You know what I mean? Like it's just
it.
like
Yeah.
life has just been slowly doing stuff to him, right? And he's just been taking those punches, those hard knocks, and not dealing with them well. Um, and
Yeah.
maybe this was like the last straw. Maybe his wife left him, but as she was leaving, she said, "Oh, and by the way, I have coronavirus. I got it from my new man, so you probably have it too. Get tested." And then like left or something, right? Like it's just like he's just on the last straw. Like he can't do it anymore. He can't. That's what it looks like. He gave up. Like
I
wow.
tell you, I don't know what's going on with these people, but yeah.
And he's like the second one I've heard in the news getting arrested for coughing in the cops' faces after saying, "Hey, I have coronavirus and you're trying to arrest me or whatever, apprehend me. So now I'm going to cough in your face." And you thought that was going to go well. Like,
Yeah.
like there are no laws on the books that literally say you cannot intentionally try and infect people, especially not law enforcement officers. Like, I mean, really? Like, I hope he's on drugs. I know it sounds bad, but like at least if you're on drugs, then like in 10 years you have something to blame, right? You can tell when that new girl you're dating finds you in the news, you can go, "Yeah, but I had a drug problem, right? Yeah, it's from the drug problem." Like what if you're not on drugs? Like this is just you.
Right.
You totally of sound mind and body made this decision.
Yeah. Just a nut in general. Isn't that something? That's
Oh
bad.
my. Mm. Mm-mm-mm. Like again, I told you I want to get off the planet. Just like stop here. I'll get off the planet. Next stop, Mars. I'm good. I don't mind living by myself. I'll build my own colony. I'm good.
Yeah. I I truly don't know what's going on.
Wow.
Also, I didn't mention it because I couldn't read my own writing. Yes, that's true. Um, there also with the because people was out anyway and still hanging out the beach and all of that. What happened today? The mayor announced that they were going to use some of their city employees to investigate those people that they think that should not be open. So let's say the beauty salon down the street is open.
Mm.
I'm like, wait a minute. These people shouldn't be open. This isn't considered essential.
Mm.
And then you make that call, doop, doop, doop. Hey. So they're going to investigate when they get those calls and they are going to give those people a fine. And trust me, they will give the fine. Oh, yeah. They're
Hmm.
going to give those fines. And
I
it's up,
find that
up to
incredible.
$10,000. Yeah, I mean, that's one way for the city to make them some money.
Hmm. But from what I hear, well, at least in all fairness, I'm gonna say here, but I'm positive we saw like outside of a police station or whatever that they were basically closed for like anything other than emergencies. Like if there's an emergency and someone's getting murdered, you can call 911. But you just want to call and be like, hey, I want to report a social problem. Like now is not the time. They were closed for that. At least, I think that must have been here. But like, really, like you have to think about the risk then that you're putting officers in, that they're going to be showing up to hand out people, tickets, like, not to stop crimes, to hand out tickets. So you're going to now be risking your health and whatever to hand someone a ticket. And I understand the whole idea that they shouldn't be open. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that there should be no fine for this or no problem with this or whatever, but like, I mean, I just think about all the white people who have called the police because black people are in public.
Uh-huh.
Like, and that's the reason why, right? But there's, I see a black man and he's laughing, but it could be snarling. You should come quick, right? Look, I mean, how many of those types of calls are they going to be getting and now going and investigating and, coming to more and more contact with people? And it is a necessary business, but it was because black people were in it. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
it makes me concerned. It makes me a little concerned. It makes me a little concerned that it's not going to get called on everyone. And we're going to have an overabundance, as is usual, whenever anything like this starts, of, the police being called on black people for, obeying the law.
Yeah, that is something to think about.
Mm-hmm.
That is something to think about. Wow. All right. Let's see. So let me see. Checks, virus, and common sense. So I hit one thing with common sense. I guess we talk about a little money now. Let me see. Let me get rid of old Junior here off the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Start closing these windows that help your computer as well.
Mm.
All right. So what I'm going to do is share my screen. We're going to talk about so we can have people to come up and share their experiences as well as join in.
Mm.
All right, so this video is one I've done early this year. I got a letter from a woman that had a child. Her and the dad is not together, and they're having both of them have some financial issues, and it's more so credit card debt. So I want to revisit that and just see how things has changed from then to now, because there is going to be a difference. And let's see, let's get on into it. Pull it up. Share your screen. All right. Got to do the audio. Let's hopefully that works correctly. Okay. Bam. Can you hear it? Can you guys hear it? Because I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm not muted. No, I can't hear it. Sorry, I was talking, but muted. Didn't realize.
Okay. All right. Gonna see if anyone responds in the chat room. Want to play a little. I'll go back, play a little bit, and then see what the response is. So that was 18 seconds. I'll go back to 13.
I don't want to hear this. Nothing.
You say you heard nothing?
Nothing. Unfortunately, I don't know why.
Okay, I don't have see anything in the chat room either. Yay, nay, nothing.
Mm-mm.
Testing. I don't even see my icon moving. Shoot, am I talking?
You
Okay, I
are
see it
definitely
moving now.
talking. Yes, I can hear you. No, yeah. Sometimes what happens too is because I've noticed if I could hear it because I'm on the panel, then they could hear it. Normally, that's the way it works. Um, but I think that like I've noticed when I gotta get the sound to work, I have to like play it almost like on my speakers. So it's like my mic is picking it up from my speakers because it won't play it just from the computer. If that, I don't know if that made sense.
Okay, Joe gave me a yes, and I'm thinking he answering. Did he hear it from the shared screen? Because if not, I'll just have to give you the rough draft. I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, y'all heard. Did you guys hear the video though that was being played? To be more clear. Oh, why don't I just type that? Because of the delay.
Yeah, it's a little delay. Okay, so Lisa says she can hear you. Chandra said no heard. Okay. Okay. They did
Oh,
not
okay.
hear it then.
No.
All right, because I did get a little strange message when with my headset, and I know I had did an update, and when I saw the message, I'm like, oh, is that going to be an issue?
Mm,
So I'm going to have to reset whatever I got to do. So that's what's
okay.
going on. All right,
Mm.
so I'll just give you
Smooth
the
rundown.
cliff
All right.
notes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So with the video, it was a couple. Um, but it's a young lady. She wrote in, and her and a boyfriend or ex-boyfriend, they had a child together, broke up. They have a lot of credit card debt. He said he's going to help her when he can. He's struggling too. She said it's tough because they lived off of credit cards when they were together. And then when the child came, they went into further credit card debt. She was thinking to just give up as far as just stop paying the credit cards and that's just it. I gave her some information. I had researched that you can contact your creditor and actually make some arrangements. And there was, I think I gave her three options. One was ask for a hardship. Second one was um settled some kind of way you settle it. I don't remember the name of it, but you can
Mm-hmm.
just settle a final payment like, okay, look, I owe you $5,000. This payment is whatever, 300 a month. I can't make it. Tell you what, instead of me just stop paying, let's just make our offer. And then the third one, what was the third option? I don't recall. Sorry. Yeah, you can use the word consolidation, but it was another term that you speak with another department, no customer service,
Mm-hmm.
and they come to terms with you. They it's like, okay, you're having a hard time. Okay, I'll tell you what we're going to do. Um, we're going to have it where we'll lower your payment and you pay us this instead of the $300. You pay us $200. That way, you still with us. We're not gonna, you get a little ding in your credit, but we're working with you. And I can't recall what that was called. But
Okay.
anyway, those are the options that I gave her with the research that I've done. And I don't know what she chose because I've not heard from her or anything. But I was playing that to say that was in January.
Mm.
No one knew anything about what we were going to experience now. Not at all.
Right.
So, with that being said, this is a new thing.
Mm-hmm.
What happens now? Because $1,200 for the individual and $500 for the baby, um, that's $1,700. What will that really do for her? As far as the $1,200 for him, if he doesn't owe back child support or he's not on SSI,
Mm.
or if he's on, if he owes back child support or if he's on SSI, he's not going to get anything. So do remember he was going to help her when he
Right.
could.
Right.
So look at how that can affect, you know, their household or her household
Mhm.
as far as with the child. And I was just thinking, like, wow, what if I've gotten that letter today? What can I tell her?
Right.
Because those options are not realistic unless she had a job that she can get, um, the time off, work from home, get unemployment. And then, like, again, it depends on the city. Like for here, they're giving us an extra $600 weekly for the first 4 months.
Mm.
That's going to
Okay.
help a lot because the max, I think, on the individual is $400, I think.
Right.
So it's just something to just really think of like, wow, okay, how is this going to affect me now? What do I
Mm.
do? Now, I would just
Mm.
say, just looking at myself, and I am going to look at her situation right now. When I mentioned to everyone when I first came on to hold on whatever cash you can, I'm looking at myself. I'm like, hey, if I only have, most people only have what they say the average is 400, $500 saved, possibly.
Mhm.
They ask that you have 6 months worth of money saved for utilities and all that stuff in your housing. That is extremely hard. That's almost like having a whole year salary saved.
Mhm.
So, and it depends on what you make and when you started and all of that. Um, that is gonna hurt.
Mhm.
So, whatever you have, I'm thinking if whatever cash you have, hold on to it as long as you possibly can.
Mhm.
Please do.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But there's a caveat to that. See, most people these days, right? And I know because I'm one of those people, which is why I move my money. I cannot leave it. The checking account to me is called available money. Now, I know that sounds terrible, but hear me out. So, the first thing I do when a paycheck of any sort goes into the checking account is pay bills with it, right? So,
Hmm.
I already worked out what bills are getting what. So that all gets spent. Okay. Then from there, and that's what the problem is from there, the rest of it's for groceries, it's for gas, it's for this, it's for that. If there's a little bit of spending money left over, then I spend it. And, so that's what the rest of the checking account's for, which is why I have a savings account. And then I have a high interest savings account. And then I have my American Money account. I have different accounts, right? And
Okay.
the reason why is because I already know me, right? So the high interest savings account is the bank that once money goes into it, it's a black hole. I will never see that money again. That means I have to be positive. I honestly will not need that money. I refuse to touch that account. It's a rule I put on myself. Um, the other savings account, though, that could be saving up towards a variety of things. But the point is that money, I know it's not disposable. It can't go towards groceries, getting my hair done, da 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 da. I can't go towards anything else. So when I do that initial check, right, I pay the bills, I transfer out whatever money might need to go towards something important. And then what's remaining is going towards groceries, gas, this, that, if they're spending money left over, whatever, right? So I would say this. Now, I think it is prudent, it's smart for you not to spend money on bills you don't have to pay right now. I do. But I also think it's smart for you not to spend the money at all unless you absolutely need to. And need, not want, not it will
Hmm.
make you slightly more comfortable, need to. So if you're going to do that, then this is what I would do. What I would do is I would take the amount of money you normally pay towards bills and everything, I would take and dump right into a savings account. You can't touch it, right? Live off of what you normally would live off of, right? Maybe spend an extra $100 or $200 on stockpiling some dried goods, some canned goods, stuff like that. That will last you a while. But take the majority of that money and dump it into an account and let it sit there. Because if you don't have to, right now at this moment, you don't have to pay this bill, that bill, that. It's not that you will never owe that money. You'll owe that money. You just
Right.
don't have to pay it now. So they're not saying it's free money. They're just saying you don't have to pay it now. Now they might say it's free money sometime in the future. And if they do that and your kids went without eating and are about to, even though you paid all those bills, you're gonna be mad, right? Which is why I would put it away, put it back, contact all these companies, set up your deferments and whatever. There's going to be some companies you have no choice but to pay. You pay those ones, right? And take all the rest of the money and dump it into a savings account until the dust settles. When you get that extra, the stimulus package check or whatever, you do the same thing with it. Dump most of it into a savings account, use a little bit of it to stockpile stuff that you and your kids or whatever need, and wait. That's what I would do. And with the credit cards, with everyone else, I would set it up the way I would with my mortgage and with whatever else, is try to defer as many things as possible right now. Try to set up for, because they have relief. Some companies have complete relief, where they will relieve you of some of your bill even and whatever. So go do the responsible adult thing. Put the money away for now and wait until the dust settles. That's what I would do, right? And shit, that's what I'm doing. Being real, right? Like that money is still it's
Yeah.
sitting there, but I ain't paying nobody right now. Because I don't know what's going to happen. They might shut down everything. I don't know. And now I don't have
Uh,
money to buy food.
right.
Uh,
You need to
So
survive, survive, and
exactly.
survive.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's my first priority. Now, on one side, it's a priority to pay the mortgage, absolutely. Right. But I called mortgage company, deferred all those payments. All right, cool. So I don't have to pay them now. So I'm going to
Hmm.
take that mortgage payment and put it in the savings account and let it sit there. I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to spend it now. I'm not going to, oh, well, I don't need to spend that. So therefore, I'll just buy extra stuff. No, don't buy anything extra. This is not free money time. This is not buy new
Right.
TV time. This is not buy your kids new kicks time. There's none of that time, right? Like this is save. You got to stockpile resources, stockpile money, because you don't know what's going to happen in the next few weeks
And months,
and months. Exactly. It could be
especially
months. You don't know.
months. Even if we get back to work in a month, those that have some work to go back to, it's still gonna take a while for
Mm-hmm.
things to shoot. I don't even want to use the word normal. Look halfway decent,
Right. Right. Yep.
look familiar.
Yep. Yep. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. And that's the thing people aren't planning for. See, I'm planning for that. Like as I'm stockpiling stuff inside of the cabinets and the freezer and whatever, I'm still actually doing regular grocery shopping on top of that. Because what I'm planning for is for an eventuality where the grocery stores close down, where now, we got to get back to paying things and money's going to be tight for a while. Where whatever, I don't know, but I do know that eating is very important. So the more resources
Yeah.
I have when it comes to food, the better, right? Like I'm not trying to starve here. I don't do starvation well. It's not a good look on me.
And welcome to the panel, DeAndre. Greetings,
Hey,
greetings.
what's going on?
Hey,
Hey, just came back from the office that they didn't tell me was closed when I got there.
nice.
Ah,
Like I should have known something was up when I was walking past and the Starbucks and the McDonald's was closed at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
Like,
uh-huh.
and I was like people are walking around, but it's not like a lot of people and it's a real nice day outside.
Hmm.
People like they underneath cherry blossoms eating and stuff and picnicking and whatever. I was like, oh, okay, all right, I'll say, well, but it felt like a Sunday, more like a Saturday. And I was like, what's going on? Like the McDonald's is closed. Because we got like two Starbucks within the 5 block radius and two McDonald's. So I was like, all right. And then I walked past the Burger King and I was like, all right, well, that's open. All right, whatever. Right. And it's like a sign, and they got the little bowing panda little emoji on the sign saying they closed. And I was like, God, there's some bullshit. because like I don't take public transportation doing this whole thing, so I like walk to the
Okay.
office. Yeah, but it's like walking to the office is like one way is like 3 to 4 kilometers, so it's like 30 minutes, 40 minutes walking.
Okay.
So yeah, so like round trip is cool. Like it doesn't like because like the the public transportation is like everybody's on top of each other. They've seen that thing in Japan, and I ain't trying to have nobody breathing, hawking, and spitting and coughing all on me, especially with all these damn old people, and they more susceptible to get it. So
Okay.
yeah, so they had like 3 cases over here. Well, 3 cases on the ship actually where I live at. I live near the Navy base, so it's three guys on the ship, and the active duty people are locked down. Like the ship, they can't leave the ship. Like all the ships locked down. They closed everything. The base is like pretty much on lockdown. Um, so yeah, so I got people hitting me up, and I've been like helping out, like sending stuff to them that they need, to the ship because I know the address directly and been talking to like people that live off base, the wives and stuff, the family members, because they can't go on the ship.
Okay.
So they can't go on the ship and like because like get their husband what they need and send it. So I've been helping them coordinate getting the stuff, like giving them the correct address so they can just have the Japanese postal service send it directly onto the base. Because if they use the one that they give the military, they'll send it all the way to the States and then it'll come all the way back. So there's a certain way you
Oh.
got to write it. Yeah. So you got to write it locally, which is a lot of kanji and that they don't know. So basically I did a copy and paste, put that in the thing and sent it. Um, Helped out a lot of friends. I'm in the group telling all of, with the other women to calm down and live off the base. You know what I'm saying? Because it's, they don't know. And then, the people that live on the base, they have their own little community, basically. And the wives or the dependents that live off the base, they separate themselves basically. So it's a lot of crazy.
Okay. Well, as far as what we were speaking of earlier, holding on to your cash, I put up, which I'll
Oh
probably
yeah.
be switching back and forth to defer, 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 because I know
Mhm.
how people are. I know they'll hear what they hear, but
Yeah.
they want comprehended like, oh, we ain't gotta pay.
Yeah.
Oh, we ain't got paid. And that's it. That's all they heard. They didn't hear, okay, it's going to be deferred. They will not cut it off right now. You have a set amount of time. If you need some assistance, give us a call. They're not going to hear any of those things. So, and then also, we cash again is king. It's hard sometimes to get your hands on it. Whatever cash you have, if you don't have to put it out there, don't put it
Mhm.
out there right away.
No, don't do that. Um,
Defer, defer, defer.
well, you know what, Char? Like, see, here's the funny part, right? I have noticed something. Black people, I've noticed something when I talk to my friends in the States, because I'm like, y'all ain't taking this seriously. But then I thought about it for 1 second, right? Black people been deferring bills their whole life, right?
But not the right way.
Not the right way. Like
True.
you giving
That's what I'm saying.
you giving black people an excuse to defer the bill? Like if you really think about this, you got to be outside. You got to be inside, right? Like I see the police riding through in these countries, smacking men upside the head because they outside and they need to be in the house, right? Like you see people getting harassed just trying to be in the park and be outside, right? Like you see the police harassing. You don't really see a lot of police brutality on black folk because we go through this every day. Like this is normal, right? Like it's See, if you really think about it, right, the uprising and the riots do not happen because of black folk. It usually happen because of white people, because their rights are taken away. Like they're seeing their white privilege being removed because black people walking around like it's a regular day. Like, what? Oh, like, oh, man, what we gonna do? We like you never like think about it like this, right? Um, like black people always got a stash of money somewhere. See, when a black person asks to borrow some money, they got money. Don't let it fool you. They got money, right? But that's the bottom of the barrel. I need to stretch this out, but to alleviate the pressure. And this is how you can tell when a black person got some money. Let me hold anything under $50. Let me hold anything under $50 mean that person has money, but they want to do some dumb shit with the money, and they ain't gonna use their money, right? Like
Okay.
now, you can defer, but that doesn't mean you can defer if you already on your second notice. Like you need to catch up. You need to go pay. You need to go pay that notice. You can defer after you get back to null, right? Right? When people ain't at work, they ain't got that dude that's there that's working. The people that's going to go cut off your stuff, they just ain't coming into work. They follow those people. The guy that's going to come out and disconnect, yeah, they follow. But best believe they going to come back with a vengeance, and you going to owe some money. So the defer thing is black folk been deferring. You know what I'm saying? And the way they've been deferring is who that? Remember everybody had call ID? Oh no, that's the bill collector. That's deferred.
Right.
Having your kids talk on the phone, mommy not here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Look, getting the light bill in your kid name, that's deferred. Right?
So that's how we defer. Okay.
That's how we defer.
No, you know what? And what made it worse? What made it worse is two things. Number one, cell phones, right? Because now there's no kids to answer the phone, right? Because you have your cell phone. And number two, visual voicemail. Because see, it was a problem before. Even if you could block the number, it still goes to your voicemail, right? And then you have to sort through all those messages with the creditor to get to the 1-2 voicemails you want to hear. But now they have visual voicemail. I heard this from a friend. I don't know this from personal experience. Now, with visual voicemail, instead of you having to call into your voicemail, when someone leaves you a voicemail, it sends you a text message of the voicemail, and you can press play from your text message screen, which means you never have to call in to listen to anything. So if you block a number, it silences anything from them. You don't have to know they left you a message because it will never alert you that they did. And then you can just basically, like, you're home free. Once that creditor reveals their number to you, boom, gone. Don't even have to think about them again. Deferred. Man, a friend of mine, I was about to say me, but I'm talking about a friend of a friend, has had some of these companies defer for about 6 years. Okay? About 6 years. If you can't catch me, I don't have to pay you. That is the mentality that some black people, not me, I'm more responsible than that, but some black people have, which is, if you can't catch me, I don't really have to pay you. Somehow it will all be okay. So you're absolutely right. And I'm telling you, now it's even worse. We don't have family shame we have to deal with anymore. We don't even have annoyance we have to deal with anymore. We could block you, never listen to your messages, and you just disappear off our radar like you don't exist. So unless it's something that you can repossess from me, like my car, my house, like something like that, I'm not really too worried about you. What are you going to do to me? What's the worst you could do? And that is okay, that's not something I do, but I know people, and that's what's the worst they can do? What's the worst they're going to do? And why? Because they've been watching their mama and their grandma and their auntie and everyone do it for as long as they can remember. What's the worst thing? Nothing happened. These people just call you and annoy you, and you just ignore them or make excuses, and you don't have to pay them ever. That's how people see it. So you're so absolutely right. Oh, I can't pay my bills. I couldn't pay my bills before COVID-19, right? Like there's not like a sense of urgency or fear there at all, because this is, yeah, that was my reality in January before the pandemic, right? Nothing changed. I don't know what to tell you. I might get some free money though, which then I might be able to pay some of them bills. Yes, right? Like if anything, some people are making it better. So yeah, no, you're so right, DeAndre. You're so right.
Yeah, it's one of them. It's like everything that y'all was saying is exactly true. Like I was saying, like, okay, they're going to give you this money, and you ain't got to do stuff for it. But if you read the fine print, they're giving you the money that they already owe you if you filed your taxes. And if you didn't file your taxes, so they ain't got to do the paperwork, they just going to give you this money because it's already coming out the treasury, right? So your 2020 tax return is going to be light, real light, right? And people got amnesia because this time next year with a coronavirus, and there's like you get your little coronavirus shot, so you won't get it, and then all of a sudden you send your tax return and everybody mad and angry, and then they gonna say, "Well, remember we gave you that $1,200." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right? That's why it's light. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you think about it, okay, if you're a single person and you make under 88 to 90,000 a year, that's like most single people, right? If you follow joint, right? And
Right.
you got dependents and you do your taxes properly, you don't go to Jackson Hewitt or whatever, like you actually go to an accountant, you actually keep your receipts, you do it properly, you're getting more money back if you make a combined under what it is, especially with your property tax. You keep your receipts for your gas, your food, because people don't know what taxes really are. Taxes is basically showing the government where you spend your money at after they already take it out of your check. That's
They
all
do
it is.
take it out.
They take it out, they take their initial, and then if you show them this money ain't going nowhere and it's not being hoarded anywhere, then they got to give you more money back. Because what they initially took, you're lower underneath the tax bracket, and people don't understand how taxes actually work. That's why if you got a savings account, you gotta, when you do your taxes yourself, you gotta put the amount that's in the savings account. And that's why they tell you when you're going to go do your taxes before January 1st, well, before December 31st, take the money out your savings account, put it in your checking account, and then after January 1st, put the money back. They tell you that purposely. Like, and you have to, like, what a lot of people need to do is, we know how to do this. If you grew up before 95, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know how to make $20 stretch or $50 stretch for 3 weeks. You know how to make it stretch, right?
Yeah.
You ain't going nowhere. You going all that with that organic food. You had to go back to Top Ramen and Vienna sausage. Like you're going to have to go back to those Sunday meals where you eat really good and nutritious on Sunday. You know what I mean? You for real, like you gonna have to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like you're going to have to do it. Like you're going to have to go down to the basic necessities of having this, that, and the third, and the basic necessities of I got my filler, which is my bread or my rice, right? I got my greens, you know what I mean? I got my you know what I'm saying, your cabbage or whatever. You know what I mean? You're gonna have to make that big soup kitchen pot of spaghetti that lasts 3-4 days. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Lunch, dinner, lunch, dinner, lunch, dinner, and lunch. Like you gonna have to make soups and things of that nature, and you know, you're gonna have to go get the whole chicken. You know, you cut the meat
Yeah.
off, you keep the bones, you throw that in the pot, make you some soup. You know what I mean? You're gonna have to instead of eating legs and thighs, you're gonna be eating necks and backs.
Okay.
You're gonna have to go back to some Great Depression type eating from them old folk, from Big
Yeah.
Mouth. You
You're
gonna
making me sad. You're making me so sad. But yeah, um, that may be a lot of our outcome,
yeah,
honestly. And
yeah,
it is sad that meat is not all that great for us anyway, and you've been having a lot of recalls and all of that. This will be a great time to test all those things out and, change your dietary habits voluntarily
yeah,
and just see how it works out for you.
yeah. This is what I would suggest for a lot of people to do, right? If you have the money, whatever, um, because that money ain't meant for you to blow it on anything. That money is meant for you to keep your bills up, to stay ahead.
Yeah,
And it's getting warmer, right? But you need water and you need gas, right? You need
yeah,
water and gas, right? It's not cold really no more. It's hitting in the spring, right? They ain't gonna cut off your electricity, but you need
right.
water and gas. And you need a way to basically know what's going on. You know what I mean? Like a lot of y'all don't really watch TV. Like turn on like the radio. Had a radio on. Make sure you got some batteries or something. You know, get you. You know what I mean? Like we have to go back. Like shoot, this might be a good time to get you a grill. Shit, you know what I mean? You might.
Mm,
Yeah, like the gas might not be on because it's not that you didn't pay it. It's just that people ain't at work to cut the gas on. But you know what's on? Some firewood and a grill.
that's true. That's some
Mhm.
good cooking too.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
good.
And don't feel bad about it, people. That's the other thing. Doesn't make you less than. What is going to, if you have not had that experience or you don't know about it, you heard the stories, enjoy and embrace those stories that your grandparents had. And depends on how old your parents had. They'll come from the South, they'll tell you. Get them a bag of pinto beans and they ate off of that and they were happy.
Yeah,
And sucking on gristles and it was what it was. It's going to be all right. It's going to
yeah,
be very different and you may not have be able to order like you used to. And I'm gonna warn you because I see the emails all the time. They're trying to entice you to buy because these
yeah,
companies are not moving those products. They're telling you we're going to close our stores. Then a few days later, you'll get an email saying um, we're still open if you order online. Then a few days later from that, hey, we'll give you free shipping.
yep,
Hey, you remember this in your wish list? You remember this? You remember that? Because they're trying to get you to buy. I understand you may want whatever big ticket item. You've been wanting it for a while and you have the money sitting there in savings or whatever. Or you have the available credit on your credit card. Save all those purchases. Just challenge yourself and wait until the end of the year and see if you still desire that product at that time. You'll be surprised.
yeah, yeah. It's you will be surprised. It's like right now you're going to realize um how much stuff that you use or you buy that's wasteful. You're gonna go through your freezer, your refrigerator right now, and you're gonna look at a
Hmm.
whole bunch of stuff that you brought that you ain't never gonna eat, that you didn't really feel like cooking, and it's basically too labor intensive to make, right? And what I would say is if y'all got like some
Yeah.
in-laws or y'all got some a mom or something, y'all got two choices. One, if I was y'all, um, either get your parent in your house if they close, right? So you know what I mean. So you can
Hmm.
be there for the first line of defense, right? Or y'all go over their house, right? Go over to your parents' house, be in the parent house, and whatever. Because guess what? You know what I mean? You ain't just gonna be living up on the parent and stuff. But if you ain't home and you just gotta worry about the rent or whatever, then you ain't gotta pay nothing in utilities because you ain't in it. You can help that parent out with their little bit of utilities or whatever's going on with them, and mama ain't gonna let you be not hungry. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And if you ain't good at cooking, it's the best time to learn.
No, and that part
Yeah.
is absolutely true. And I'll say this, and I'm not sure why people don't know this, but buying things the way that single people tend to is very, very expensive and silly to me. And I'll explain why. I mean, because even when I lived dead ass alone, I bought everything in bulk. Why? Because it's cheaper to buy five steaks instead of one. Were you never going to eat steak again? Sure, you don't need to eat all five of them at once. You know what you do? Portion them out into Ziploc bags. You know what I mean? So I'll cook two at a time. That's going to last me like, damn, a whole week of lunches. Great. Or, I buy the bulk pack of chicken, the bulk pack of ground beef, whatever it is. I go places where I can buy $30 or $20 of whatever meat, and then I can divide that up. So in that way, and then I divide it up into Ziploc bags. And so I spent $30 on meat and I got, 2 weeks worth of food. So, I think people need to learn how to do that, but also cooking in bulk is not a bad idea either, right? So if you think about it, for example, making a casserole. Now, I mean, unless you're really that, I mean, if you're so picky as an individual that you must have a different meal every day of the week, even though it's just one of you, well, I don't know, maybe you need to reprioritize. Because again, between having to pay these bills, being laid off of work or whatever the case is, and whatever, you're going to want to be able to scrimp and save when you can. So only needing to use all that electricity and water and whatever to make one meal for a week might be a good idea, and you can make anything into a casserole. Anything can be a casserole. um Anything could be great. Rice casserole or a pasta casserole. You get some kind of meat, you get a bunch of different types of vegetables, you make some kind of sauce, and you put it inside of an oven to bake for an hour or two, and boom, you got a great meal for yourself for like the week, or for the family for a couple of days. And you actually end up saving money that way. And you can also get a bunch of nutrients from canned vegetables, which might not taste great on their own, but just kind of taste like vegetables when you throw them into a casserole, which is why mom has been doing that since forever. So, it's about learning how to maybe change your perception of things and the way you used to see foods and you used to see cooking and grocery shopping, to get the best bang for your buck, most mileage on your buck, and the most mileage out of the food you are buying.
Yeah. And a lot of people like they're gonna do some different things just because they just don't have it anymore. They're gonna look at things differently. I've been seeing a lot of emails, and shout out to Amadi. She has been having fitness classes online, and because the gyms are closed,
Mm-hmm.
and she's showing you, hey, we can do some exercises in the house. We can use the couch. We can use the chair. There's certain things that we can do.
Mm-hmm.
We can use gallons of water, um, sacks of flour, just different things that you may have, so you can still get your workout on.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure there's going to be some people that may do that and realize, shoot, instead of me paying that $40 a month and being tied into a contract and whatever else, you know what? I think I'm gonna do this. When I used to have to go outside, I wanted to stretch and walk. I had a great time just stretching my legs and walking. I think
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do more walking. So
Mm-hmm.
people are gonna find ways to cut back, because if you take time and listen and just pay attention to some things, how things are changing, you're gonna like, wait a minute, I didn't really need that. Um, and if you utilize your time, that's another thing. I'm hoping people utilize their time to whatever it is, learn something new. And just what you're mentioning with the cooking, that's just good anyway for your family,
Mhm.
even if you're by yourself. You can
Yep.
take your lunch to work. Because I used to cook mine on Sunday. Sunday was my cook day,
Mhm.
and I would have everything prepped so I can have my lunch for the week.
Right.
And then eventually, some Fridays, like we used to pick payday Friday. Okay, I'm gonna buy my lunch that day.
Right.
But it was a way of saving, and you'll learn some different things to mix and match. Because eventually, you may get tired of that same sandwich or whatever it is that you would take. You're like, I want something different. Let
Mhm.
me look something up. What else can I do differently?
Mhm.
You
You-
know, Shar. Like I remember growing up when going to McDonald's was a treat.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
we going to McDonald's. Oh, I got some A's on the report card. You start dancing in the car, you know,
Okay.
like
I got some French fries. I got some French fries.
Mhm.
yeah, and it has changed a lot, but you realize how much that the convenience of fast food, like it was like you would order a pizza, like there was a specific time where you would order or you would do certain things, right? Like I like to watch Kung Fu Theater on Saturday. My mom would like Friday night she wasn't cooking, right? She cooked all through the week, breakfast, whatever. But it was Friday, it was, $1.50 shrimp fried rice. And I would sit up there in the morning, heat it up like in the afternoon after the cartoons went off. And that was my lunch, sitting there watching Bruce Lee movies or whatever, right? And the other thing that I wanted to uh the other thing that I wanted to talk about is I've been seeing this on social media a lot. You parents out there, this is the time when you realize how bad your goddamn kids are.
Oh, snap. I got a
Right,
sound bite for that.
right, right. Because I've been hearing these parents, when these kids going back to school? Oh, they say they ain't going back. Lord G. Now, if you can't stand your kids and you carry them
Yep.
for 9 months, right? Why do you now you understand what the teacher got to go through having your kids for 8 hours out of the day?
Mhm.
See, the parents that got it together with their kids, they don't complain about them needing to go back to school. It's the ones that complain about when these kids going back to school. Now you see why a lot of these children or these children nowadays are reckless and these teachers don't want to be in schools and you're getting a whole bunch of crazy stuff. See, this is the time where you get to see how your kids is acting and you need to reestablish yourself as the parent.
Right.
Mhm.
I'm tired of
Oh,
seeing
yeah. Welcome to the panel, DJ Music. I muted you because you had some noise going in the background. You can unmute yourself. Welcome.
Hey, look at us panel
Oh,
filling up, Shar. All right then.
All right. Hey everybody. Good
hey,
evening. Good evening, folks. How is everybody? Yeah, I had my portable fan on the background. I do apologize there. It was humming pretty loud, wasn't it?
yeah, no problem. I got you. I got
Tragic.
Shar
Anyway,
got it.
listen, I know I heard all the good information that folks was giving about ways to of course there's going to be a time that you might not be able to get to the store because there's not going to be anyone to deliver any packages from Amazon. I would suggest folks is while you have time to order, you might want to order some seeds, and if you got some dirt somewhere, you might want to learn how to plant them.
All
Yeah,
right.
that's a fair point I don't think of
Yeah.
because I live in Canada and right now it's still barely spring. So there's not a lot of opportunity to grow unless you have one of those little in-home kind of things where you grow like minute things. But yeah, that definitely, especially places people who have it's a little bit warmer, so year round you can grow something. You have to look it up and
Mhm.
see based on the season what's going to grow best right now. But yeah, absolutely, why not? You got a garden.
Sure enough. That's how they did it before.
Hmm.
Hmm. Before the big supermarkets and before the big what do they call those, the big open air markets, the farmers markets and all that.
Hmm.
That's how folks used to survive. If you guys remember history and you're looking at it, this is not the first pandemic and it's not going to be the last. But for some reason or the other, people aren't prepared because they've been unprepared for quite a long time.
Hmm.
Everybody lives in this idea of fast, go get it, or the idea of I can just pick up the phone and call somebody and they'll be here in 20 minutes, hot and ready.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But
To give you an added thing though. So, and again, I would like to clarify that I live somewhere where you can honestly only grow things yourself like 3 4 months out of the year, period. And I lived in apartment buildings till I was like 13. So I don't have a lot of experience with this, but I had a major issue when my mom decided she planted this tree which would produce like 4 fruits a year. And then, I can't remember, at one point she was growing tomatoes or whatever, right? She kept trying her hand at growing stuff. And to me, that stuff might as well be poison. Like there was no way I was eating it. Um, and so I'll tell you, there's a couple issues I had. So the first issue was that when I was like 10 years old, I went to Jamaica and I came back with worms from having eaten their fresh produce, buying some star fruit or whatever off the side of the road. Now I have worms, and the concept of having worms from a fruit troubled me so I never forgot that. So to me, this grocery store stuff with all of its safe pesticides that prevented me from getting the worms, that's the kind of fruit and vegetable you want to eat, right? Like that's how I literally saw it in my head. And so it was that. And then for some reason, I thought the soil was different in my backyard versus, I don't know, off the farms and whatever. So, like, basically, the soil in my backyard is poisonous and you should not grow food from it. And this is not stuff like, that was in the media or whatever. This is just stuff I told myself that the stuff from the grocery store was safe and the stuff from my backyard was not. So watching my mom eat the tomatoes and say they were delicious and whatever didn't stop me from deciding I could not eat that stuff. And now, and I know I wasn't alone in that, right? So I'm looking at my generation, 35-ish, so probably 30 to 40s, and we don't have as much experience of having grown up on these things and thinking that they're normal, natural things to do, right? Just like the buying the food in bulk or making a meal for a week. To Char, to myself, it might seem like common sense that, of course, if you're going to cook, even if you're by yourself, you cook for several days worth of food. You don't just sit there and cook every single day. Who the hell wants to do that, right? And of course you're not going to buy your
what
lunch
if
every single day. But for these younger
what,
and younger generations, it's not normal or common sense to us to do any of this.
what if the electricity goes out?
Well, that's why I have dried food. I got dried beans, I got dried vegetables, I got dried everything, and I got canned stuff too. Mm.
And I know
And I'm,
people that want something every day different.
Yeah.
yeah.
They will frown up. You would think they were rich. They're not going to have no leftover.
Oh
And
yeah,
you
when
know
I
what?
met my husband, he would not eat leftovers. Like he thought in his head,
Hmm.
and it's from his mom being that snobbish, but in his
Mhm.
head, it's like leftovers were like tasted disgusting. And I'm like, they taste just like they did yesterday. Sometimes better, depending on what it is, right? Like it took me years to get him to try leftovers for him to be like, oh, it does just taste like food.
You
Like,
know what? Me and my wife would have an argument about that, right? And I would like come to the pot, and I'm like, "Yo, where the food at?" She's like, "What?" I was like, "What the leftovers?" And she was like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "She said that's disrespectful." disrespectful is
Yeah.
you ain't get enough food for the next day. That's what's disrespectful.
Right. I want extra food for midnight. What the hell is this shit? I'm supposed to eat bread at midnight? I want to eat this.
Yeah, like what are you doing? Like she's like, why you gotta live like that? I was like, now she's like, she like, I see why you live like that. Exactly, exactly. You guessed it. I was right.
Mhm.
I was right. Like now, if you have it in plenty, I understand. Like there comes a time when you don't do certain things, but in desperate times come for desperate measures. And if you get ready, you don't have to like if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And I don't see, like I said, black people born like between 95 and earlier having too much of an issue. Like, and the reason that I say this is that black people that was born, I'm talking about black people in the United States that were born uh, 95 and earlier, they were still raised and babysitted by Big Mama. And you're going to eat your grits. Grits is a breakfast, lunch, and even a dinner thing.
Okay.
Bread is the first thing to go. Rice is like, all right, we'll get to that. If need be, you make your own bread. You got an oven. Like people don't realize, like an oven is the greatest tool ever known to man. Like that thing is an immaculate thing, and a skillet. You can do some amazing things with a skillet. Like a skillet is like you can bake bread in the skillet. Like I remember my grandmother used to make I'm like they call them pancakes, but she used to make sweet cakes with the cinnamon apple
Uh-huh.
sauce. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Man, you got applesauce, you got salt, you got pepper, you got like the applesauce, salt, pepper. Of course you're gonna have your hot sauce, you're gonna have your all seasoning, you're gonna have your cinnamon, you're gonna have your sugar, your
Mhm.
brown sugar, right? You're gonna have all the ingredients. You need your flour, you need your eggs, and you need your milk, and you need some type of meat, and you good. You
He
was
sound like he paid attention.
oh, I paid
Yeah.
all kinds of attention. Like you were good. Like and if you need to eat something to snack on, well, that's what peanuts are for. We go grab you some of
Mm.
the bigger toes over there. like, 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 I'm hungry. You ain't hungry. Maybe you're bored. You know what I'm saying? Grab Big Mama that tin over there. You know the tin with the sewing equipment in it, with the cookies on the top of it. That they never had no cookies in it. You grab that and you know what I mean. Get you some graham crackers, some cinnamon graham crackers. You know what I'm saying? Get you some of those. Like like get you some dried cereal. Eat that shit dry. Go sit your butt down somewhere. Like, this
Okay.
like I would say this is the best time for folks, especially the black community, to come together like we used to and understand what it is, and get with those elders in the communities and those older people to teach you how to get through this rough time. Because
Right.
this issue is probably going to last about 6 months, right? But the Great Depression lasted for years. For years.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You and Ruby made the kind of the same point, but you guys said it a different way. But what I got from it is listening to both of you. It wouldn't be a bad thing to consolidate, folks, especially if you have a large family, or if you have a small family, because it might come a time that if you have your resources are scattered, you might be one of those folks that easily taken over, or somebody might say, hey, so and so, so and so. But if you got your whole family around you, because that's how they do it around them parts. You notice that everybody, that all the powers that be, they rather didn't took care of their families first. So to consolidate what you have, and shrink them bills as much as you possibly can wouldn't be a bad idea.
Much agreed. Much agreed.
Have y'all seen them
Defer,
videos?
defer, defer.
have y'all seen
Go
those
ahead.
videos on social media where, like in these third world countries, where they riding around smacking people with sticks? The police tell them get their butt in the house. Like
I just seen the jokes. That was it. Just jokes.
you got to see the videos. They is crazy. They on Facebook. If you go search them, they driving around throwing sticks at them. The police running up on them, smacking them, taking them off the bike. Get your butt in the house. Where your mask at? Why you out?
Mm. Yeah, they're getting ready to fine people here, because folks just was out. It was, in the words of Terrain Rain, it's the palm colored people. They were out. They wanted to be out. Couldn't help themselves. Where there's a beach, there they are.
Yeah, I was about to say, somebody sent me a Facebook post of the folks at the beach. Are y'all kidding me? Right now?
Not at all.
No, see what they heard was that if you're a little bit darker, you keep the corona away from you. So they gotta go, because they usually go to the tanning salon, but they gotta go to the beach to get the sun.
Tragic.
Right? So it's like it's camouflage. It's cam.
They gonna get spring break, all right.
Permanent, right? They out to lunch. Like it's.
Right.
I saw one article with the guy. It was a guy he was surfing at the beach, and he came back to the shore after he was out there surfing, and the Italian police officers was sitting on horses looking at him. Come here. It's like, come here.
When he got out that water,
Come here.
hey, come here, buddy.
Come
Buddy,
here.
come here.
Well,
And the police, when have you seen the police on horses? Like, what
I've actually been. They're downtown now.
yeah.
I'm not seeing a lot of cars. They're just taking their time because there's really nothing out there. They're just taking their time on the horses.
Mm.
Hmm.
Now they're going back to what they used to do, which is to make your presence known so you make yourself scarce. Not about pulling up on people and catching them. It's about you being aware that they're always going to be around and you could get caught. So it's better for you to just not be around. But what I noticed, and to be fair, I'm going to say that I think the news reports lately that are trying to stress how millennials are all getting so tragically ill from COVID-19 are bullshit. I think the original reports, which is that this is mainly affecting boomers and above in the worst ways possible, and definitely in the largest numbers, it still is the boomers and above, and then Generation X, and then millennials and Generation Z and whatever. I still think that's what it is. But that's why they've changed the news reports, is because millennials are idiots. So by definition, then they go, well, it's not really affecting us anyway, so we can go do this.
Yeah.
And not realizing that just because you're not affected doesn't mean you're not infected. And then you can take this virus home to your boomer parents, or to your elderly grandparents, or to your 3-year-old sister or brother or whatever, right? So but kids are notoriously stupid. Now, in all fairness, I'm going to say that the dumbest of the kids are Generation Z, because right there, no, they are, right? They're sitting there like, oh, let's have parties to protest, and how dare you keep us in against our will and violate our rights? It's my right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Like, are you an idiot? Like,
Ruby.
I understand you a bit bored, but really? Like, this is not about violating your rights at the moment.
Hold on, wait a minute.
Yes, she did.
No, she
Straight
did.
to him.
No, she did. Right?
Straight to him.
like-
Shot him. Pow, pow, pow.
You know it's true.
What all of those people in the 50s, like that were born in like the 30s and the 40s, were saying about the kids that were like growing up into like the teenagers and adults in the 60s and the 70s. All those hippies over there, peace, man. Like, comb your hair, pull your pants up.
No, because I give credit where credit is due. So when you're looking at the millennials, right, and the trending for the Generation Z is that, yes, they are waiting until later to get married, but they are also remaining married at far higher rates than, if you compare even older millennials, Generation X boomers, right? So even in these groups where you're looking at a older millennial or Generation X getting married this year, they're more likely to be divorced in 5 years than millennials, by far. So I give them credit where credit is due, right? But I haven't heard no 55-year-olds out there like, you can't keep me away from socializing with my friends. This is life, liberty, pursuit of happhappiness. I'm going to go hang out with a bunch of random people I don't know and rave with them. You don't hear that shit from 55-year-olds. You hear it from 19-year-olds who are idiots, right?
I don't know if greetings, Steve.
Hey.
Greetings.
It's Rudy. How you doing, brother? Good to see you, my man.
Indeed, likewise. But did you see some of the footage from the beach? A lot of them.
Yes.
There was some older folk out there.
Yeah, it was.
Oh no.
Yeah. There was a few. There was a few sprinkled up off in there. Some 40s up in there. Some 50s in there. They had no business being out there.
Yeah, they wrinkled rice paper looking ass.
Right. Just like they're the same ones though that are wearing clothes like 15-year-olds and have no business in the 15-year-old clothing, right? They're idiots because they never grew up. They're still mentally 19 is my point, right?
They out there hunting.
They done tanned so. They done tanned so many years their skin looked like leather.
Yeah, if you zoom on some of those pictures, matter of fact, there was one picture I saw that if you zoomed all the way in, you can actually see a motherfucker that was on the beach with a cane.
Yep.
Tragic.
Oh, he was just ready to die. He figured, well, listen, it's gonna come get me anyway, so I might as well enjoy my last few days.
Yeah,
no, but like,
and he, I think he just happened to be a famous YouTuber too.
Oh, no, you know what? I will say, no. The truth of the matter is, right?
Member.
Huh?
No, the truth of the matter is, right? Idiocy is not just for the young. I mean, we have idiots of all ages. I'm not saying we don't. I'm just saying that there's higher concentrations in the youth who, first of all, think they're invincible. Well, no, they think they're invincible. Yeah. The media is almost telling them they're invincible, which is why they've started to change the reports, right? But they're not as good at seeing, like being able to put it all together and say, oh, well, even if my friend looks fine, they might be currently infectious because that's how it works,
is that you're talking about the generation that the younger ones grew up in the superhero generation, so nothing can affect them.
Right. Yeah. Right? Made out of Teflon until they're dying. Now all of a sudden they're like, what the hell? I can't believe, how did this happen to me? Right?
Yeah,
they're shocked as hell.
A bunch of those people that was from the, I think there was the toilet licking union.
Thank you. The moron who caught COVID-19 from licking toilets to prove he wouldn't catch COVID-19.
Listen, what kind of idiot do you have to be?
To lick a toilet, period. Like, why?
Period. That's what I'm damn what's on the toilet. The idea that you wait a minute, the best thing I can do right now to get some fame is a lick a toilet.
Lick a toilet. See, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing, right? Right? It is
black folk don't do that.
No, we don't. No. Like, listen, why are we getting in the way of the laws of the universe?
Right? We've never been that bored.
Hell no. I'm sorry, folks. Y'all can say what we want to about this, but black folks do not lick toilets.
No, they don't.
This is Darwinism. Every generation, Darwinism takes place in some kind of social way, right?
Hmm.
Um, you remember the flower power era? Everybody's
Yep.
taking LSD. LSD was fun. It was
Yeah, the
great
70s, San
Yeah.
Francisco.
Yep.
until they got into their mid and late 40s and started having health complications from LSD.
Alzheimer's.
Just it
Hmm.
was like eroding parts of the brain where you're coming down with dementia, yeah, Alzheimer's, all these things that affect the memory, right, or
Schizophrenia.
motor skills. Yeah.
Right,
Right.
right.
Yeah. Like
Um,
Hmm.
Parkinson's.
yeah, to remember.
Am I the only one that think?
Mhm.
Oh, go ahead.
Am I the only one to think that? But a lot of these new diseases that we've heard of in the past 30 years, have you ever heard of them before? Until I'm sorry, I got to say it again. Until white folks caught them.
Well, this is how I know that whenever it comes to black folk, I think that the entire reason why they're using the celebrities to kind of tell you that it's real, because black biology, unless this virus um, tries to adapt to a stronger physiology like that of black folk, which is probably going to have some devastating effects. Um, but you know that this is something that literally, overwhelmingly, majority affects pale skin. Is how quickly they mobilize.
Mm.
Yep.
Absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely,
I mean,
absolutely.
I think
That's
of
the point of it right there.
I think of the Katrina era. Took them nearly 90 days to even mobilize FEMA. Um,
Mm.
like literally, you had private corporations uh, sending private security to protect things like ATMs, shooting people dead in the street. FEMA
Mm.
didn't mobilize. They're finding people after the water receded with that had died not even from water or drowning, but from bullets.
Yep.
Right.
It had just as many people dying from bullets as you did from actually drowning.
Right. And who was and the question is, I mean, who was killing these people? Because remember, a lot of these people were fleeing for their life. So I don't think they were thinking about grabbing guns at that time, especially when they're stuck on top rooftops.
Yeah, what gets me is that you have shelves that would have normally had toilet paper on them, completely empty. Barely any tape paper towel to go around. Matter of fact, Dre and I did a little research on eBay and Amazon. That most everybody's out of toilet paper and paper towels, right? But I can go to any CVS, Walgreens, Walmart, Target, Costco, and I find the shelves filled with vitamins,
Hmm. Of course.
which are
Mm.
probably which in a time of crisis, vitamins as well as antibiotics uh, are literally worth their weight in gold.
Yep.
Medical supplies are always worth their weight in gold during the crisis, especially things like vitamins.
Gauze, disinfectant, shit. You get you some 151. It's alcohol all on the shelf. Grab that shit.
They got down here in the South. They called it moonshine.
Yep. Like, like you notice when you go to the supermarket, all of the frozen stuff or the instant stuff is missing, but all of the stuff that you need to actually cook with, there's flour, there's eggs, there's vegetables. Right? They trying to give you the vegetables. Right?
And my thing is that this COVID-19, according to recent reports that have been coming out, uh, there really shouldn't have been, say, this level of scale up to where mandatory stay-ins are happening because it's something that right now they know how to contain.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, you're seeing in China where this virus started, you're seeing the rates of COVID-19 actually decrease.
Yep. Well. We all know what that is, Cerulean. We all know what that is. Um, like we saw, dude driving around. They had the men riding around, keeping the Delta males in the dirty foot country in line. They had the alpha men riding around on mopeds, smacking them with sticks. Get your butt in the house.
Oh yeah, like yeah. I've seen a couple videos like that in India, Calcutta. They had these guys. One of the videos, it was the guys would approach anybody that was outside that didn't have a mask on, and they was like, "Oh, where's your mask?" I don't know. I forgot it, bro. Smack. Then you're done, right? And now they got the one out now where it was like, hold up, isn't there a stay-at-home order? What are you doing out here on this moped? It's like, I don't know. I have to go get milk for my children. Just giving them some lame excuse. Wow. Get your ass back in the house. Turn around.
Yeah,
But,
like,
you know,
Listen,
we were actually talking about this, right? Where we know that this thing affects majority people over 54 and majority males. Well, majority people over 55, really, but majority males. And we're talking about if it came down to, um, say, a class one situation, if they really wanted to go like DEFCON 1 for this, right? And you had National Guard or even Army checkpoints everywhere. And it'd be that one guy that walks by that checkpoint and just has a light cough. Like, excuse me. It's like, hey, you, where are you going? Get him. He belongs in quarantine. It's like, wait a minute. The cutoff is 55 and I'm only 54 and a half. It's like, yeah, I'm sorry, sir, but this just came in. The new cutoff is 54 and a half. You're going to have to get in one of these bubbles. Right?
yeah.
Like, get in the bubble, nigga.
And but you know what I didn't see? I didn't see no women walking around them countries that wasn't supposed to be out. Right?
Ah,
Right? Like when you look at these, and if we talk about the dirty foot countries, it was the men of the dirty foot country keeping the other men in check. Right? So what this tells you is that the reason why it has spread in America the way it has spread and it doesn't affect black folk as much as it affects white folk is that we as black people already realize we do not have the rights as white folk. And white folk don't understand that you really don't have any rights. They just put you in the trick bag to let you think you have the rights to keep you under subversion, right? And you're the ones that are actually the most susceptible of dying than the minorities.
Well, if you really look at the black folk in general, we are not very sociable people.
Nope.
Outside of family reunions, barbecues, probably church, we don't really go a lot of places. Work, school, grocery store, home,
yep.
and probably the occasional comedy show.
Hmm.
Or Christian play.
Yeah, or Christian play, right?
That's true.
With white folk, just literally they're doing outside raves, as you've seen. They're going to the beach, like like one It's very rare to see some Negroes wanting to swim in some dirty ass river water.
Man,
Niggas don't like going to the lake. We'll go to the lake to fish. We'll go to the lake to skip some rocks and contemplate. But we're not going there for no party. We're definitely not going there to swim.
look, I'm gonna be real with you, right? I'm gonna be real with you, right? Right. I did this test on my son, right? Right. And he was a baby, like not a baby, but he's like 3 or 4 years old, right? And you know, my wife's not black, so I had to do the how much is my son black test because he was doing he's doing some white people shit a couple times, right? So what I did was I took some water and I threw it in his face and he acted like he was drowning. High five, my nigga. Use the nigga.
You're terrible.
No, I'm like for real. No, I'm just for
I
real.
believe you.
He's
White
black.
people have water in their face.
I mean, you
He's
look at-
black.
One of the silver linings of living in an oppressive state of existence is that we learn how to not be so say testing. Like we're not liable to test the waters with life-threatening situations, right? Like go to the zoo where they let the damn panda bears should walk around, right?
Yeah.
Or climb in the tiger enclosure. Wonder what the tiger gonna do.
Yeah, that's why we looked in shock when we saw the black girl hop into the tiger cage to twerk. Cause like, yep, been around them white folk.
She was on.
Yeah.
She was on something, man. She was on something. She been around them white folk a little too long. She was on something. She wasn't
You know
right.
what I mean? So I come from the generation like we blamed everything on the white folk, right? Like especially like on white women, right?
Yeah.
Like you slip on a banana peel, see, that's what you get fucking with them white bitches.
Yep.
Man, fucking with them white folks.
Yeah, you got too hard of a cough, like oh man, you got a cough, brother. See, you got sick.
You've been around them white folks.
Yep.
Yep.
We're around the white folks. Because I grew up where we generally understood that one, white folks was nasty, prone to disease and shit. And they didn't like to wash their fucking hands.
Nope. Nope. That is true. People don't realize.
To go back to what Ruby said, you know, that's what the media is doing, and Sarun, you touched on it also. That's what the media is doing. This COVID-19, as they call it, it's after a certain population of them, and this white male around 45 to 65. There's a whole lot of them left. You can say what you want to. They might be putting those young folks up front saying that they sick, but there's a whole generation of them. The disease is wiping out overnight.
Yeah.
It's not letting them breathe. It's
Exactly.
sucking them up.
I remember when I was a kid in school, and you know them talking about the boomer generation, and them every time we talked about the boomer generation, we talked about the big problem that the boomer generation poses, right? Which is there's such a massive generation, which is great until they get to the place of old age. And now the system has to take care of them, but the system is not set up to take care of such a massive shift change amount of old people. So in and of itself, just looking at it from that perspective, they want the boomers, they want all these boomers who are transitioning into old age to be gone, so that way they don't have to try to financially and socially support them in any ways.
Exactly.
But see, that's this is a thing here, and you know what the boomers did. They invented things for their life to last longer. You know, some of these folks are living to 95, 96, 97 years old, where that used to be a rarity. If you met someone that was 100 years old, that was an event. Now these folks are living in 87, 88, 90 years old. It's not that they're not viable parts of the community, but let's face it, how many 97-year-old people you see walking around?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're right about that. Like, you're right about that music. And see, like, what the country, like, Me living in Japan, seeing an 80-year-old woman go to the grocery store, get her groceries, go home. She don't look 80. She looked like she about 60, about just hit 60, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But they're active and they move. So these older people, right? Even these men that retired, they'll work a job. Like he'll be the guy at the parking garage on the weekend, ushering the cars through, right? You know what I mean? Doing these little menial jobs or going around the grounds or whatever. Not that he needs to work, he works just to keep himself active. The problem is
Mm-hmm.
that in westernized culture, these old people, they're clinging on to life, and because of how the medical care system is set up and is operated, right? They are feeding the big corporations, but they're also with these pre-existing conditions because they work in these factories and they got these pensions and that healthcare is still it's like they're becoming this big void, like this big heavy noose around the country's neck that they don't need. So you got to get rid of them, right? And the only way to get rid of them is miraculously, right? Right? And also, they're the ones that are still voting. They're the ones that are that they can't push certain policies through, right? Because they're still in Congress, right? You got motherfuckers of 75 fucking years old still in Congress.
Right.
I'll say this, like you kind of look at COVID-19, and I know I may sound like a dick for saying this, but they kind of deserve this. Like this is what they wrought on themselves. They brought this on them.
Malcolm X said it best, didn't it? The chickens have come home to roost. We couldn't fight them with guns. We couldn't fight them with swords. We couldn't beat them. So the only way someone created this virus, and it is, I'm sorry to say, I don't wish death upon anybody, but if you look at the history of white America and its predecessors and its counterparts, that's all they have done. They have left blood stains everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
this
want to
is
go back.
you look at the financial system as it exists. I think they're drawing this thing out because one, they need to. They don't really have any other choice. You're already on the verge of a second recession. That's 12 years after the first one, after the first bubble pop. Um, just as Dre said, this medical system, uh, as a result of years, decades of racism, um, literally unregulated, um, big big corporate business, industrialized medical care, in which it's like basically you're paying the highest premium uh, for subpar medical care, which prisoners in jail have better medical care than your average American.
Yes, that's true.
Wow.
It's absolutely true.
Yeah.
And
It's
then
absolutely true.
when we wonder when we sit here and wonder why the hell this virus has been able to ravage America the way that it has. Well, you look at how fat the big pharma has gotten, and you can actually see when you look at COVID-19, you're literally seeing just how much damage industrialized medical care has done. Because why are you having so many people getting sick? How come you got so many people getting infected by this thing? If uh, you were getting the health care that you actually paid for, you would actually be more resilient and resistant to this virus. Because when you look at other countries that have top health care, you see their numbers of COVID-19 much lower.
Yeah.
That's
And
true.
and the numbers, the reason why Italy explodes the way it did is because a big portion of their population are elderly. Italians live the longest, in first world countries as much as Japanese. Now, Japan will be
Absolutely.
just as worse, and those numbers are creeping up because they're actually reporting them because the Olympics has been postponed.
Mhm.
So they got 89 new cases in Tokyo just yesterday. You know what I mean? 3 cases on the carrier over here, the ship over here. You know what I mean? The shit's popping up, but Japan's not going to explode like everywhere else because it's an island. They can close their borders easily with a snap of the finger.
Easily.
Easily,
I
right?
mean, yeah, you look at a carrier. You look at a carrier like that was on the Ronald Reagan, right?
Yeah.
Was it Ronald Reagan or is the Kennedy?
No,
Uh,
it's
it
the
was the
rate.
Yeah, it was the Reagan.
Yeah.
That's a
Five,
big ship.
oh, yeah,
10,000
5,000
people
people.
without the flight crew.
That is actually a floating city, isn't it?
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
It's,
It's a floating city.
it's ridiculous. I mean, the size of it.
Yes.
I mean, it's almost science fiction how large it is because
Yeah.
Yes.
it's bigger than the Kitty Hawk was.
Yeah, the Kitty Hawk was 3,000 people, and then with the flight deck and everybody on it, and the admiral would be on there like
Once you get the flight
5,000.
crew and all of that, the ops and then you get your marine detachments. Then you're getting 5,500 max capacity.
Yeah, and then but this is just alone by themselves in port is 10,000. Then when everybody's there, you're talking about 15,000 folk, and then you're talking about the families and everything that's on the base. So, and then you're talking about one base, and then the extra housing areas that they got, and then the total people that's in this city alone. You're talking about just Americans in this city alone because of the military. You're talking about 75,000. Right? 75,000 per weekend pumps in this community over here, pumps into this community about $100 million per weekend when they get paid twice a month.
Hmm.
They
Why do you
absolutely
think
do. Everything from stereos to women.
stereos, the women, um, like people don't realize like where I live in a peninsula, right? So it's beachfront property, like 20 minutes in either direction, you hitting some water, right? But it's the country. So I live 25 minutes away from Yokohama, 45 minutes to 60 minutes away from Tokyo, right? This place down here, land prices down here is just expensive as being in central Tokyo because the military base put so much money into the community.
Hmm.
Like, why would you have 2 McDonald's, a Burger King, 2 Starbucks, 3 malls, 5 luxury skyscrapers, a brand new police precinct, a brand new courthouse, and all of this stuff where you can walk from one end to the downtown to the other end of the downtown in 10 minutes? Where if you was to get an apartment out here, if you were to get a 3-bedroom apartment because you're not Japanese, you're paying $2,500 a month. If you are Japanese, you're paying $1,000 a month, and you got to pay the rent times 4 to move in.
Mm.
And that's just because the military is here. Now you go to a town over, like I kind of live on a town over a little bit. Rent for a 3-bedroom apartment is $600.
Mm. Okay.
That tells you something.
Well, I wanted to go back to the hand washing part.
Mhm.
When I went to the store Wednesday, I noticed that the baked stuff, the donuts and muffins and all that, when I walked past that and I looked over, they had it all individually wrapped. And I was just thinking to myself, that's the way it should have always been, because a person can come from the outside, which we do. We come from outside, we walk in the store, we touch the glass door and we open that up. And then some people may get the little wax paper, some may not. Pick up a muffin or whatever, like, oh, I don't want this one. Take the hand off of that one and reach for another one. So
Oh,
I'm hoping.
oh yeah. I look,
Mhm.
stay away from all that. Like, I'm not into
Right.
all that anyway, because person just flipping through the donuts, leaving fingerprints on anything.
No,
Mm-mm.
you know what, Shard? This is the perfect time for you to get cool with your local baker. See the
Because they
baker,
need to keep it that way, though. But go ahead.
but it's because of convenience. You're going to notice that this thing is going to reset us back, right? It's going to reset things back because of convenience, move things forward, and people are going to be so germ conscious, right? It's going to push things back so much where you're going to go to your butcher now. When the last time someone went to an actual butcher, right?
Ooh.
Like,
Yeah.
go to your butcher. Like, think about it. How many people got a deep freezer? Like, the freezer is the size of the refrigerator. I
Hmm.
remember growing up, I had one of them,
Yeah. Growing up,
Yeah.
we used to have one.
right?
Yeah.
Where you would get the money, like you would pay the money and they would cut up like a whole cow or a whole
Yep.
pig or chicken. Like, it's in the freezer, right? You're like, hey, go ahead and pull that out, right? And you would see that sitting on the counter for 3 days or in the sink for 3 days.
Uh-huh.
To thaw out because it was really frozen. Like, if
I remember those days.
you go to, because if you think about it, if you go to the butcher, he cuts it the way you like it, right? That's a skill. That's a job, right? And the butcher, and if you get sick, you know why you got sick from him.
Mm.
So he had to make sure he didn't give you no tainted food, right? You're the produce guy, right? The guy with the horse and the buggy used to ride down the neighborhood with the fruits and vegetables. With you know
Uh-huh.
that guy, the best fruit and vegetables you ever got, right? Or when
Especially the watermelons. We were looking for them with that watermelon.
the watermelon man. We used to call him watermelon man, right?
Yeah.
And but and he had the peaches and stuff, but it was seasonal, right? You should not
Uh-huh.
be in the middle of winter getting Georgia peaches.
Right.
Yeah, but you know what? Here, I'm gonna bring up a point. Now, on one side, I understand the fact that, for example, these kind of like mom and pop type operations, right? Most of them gone out of business. Ones that don't tend to get into some type of specialty market, which costs more because less people are coming. I get it, but at the same time, and here's the thing, the world has been, and when I say the world, I mean the Western world, has been on enough of this like kind of health conscious, food conscious kick for long enough that butchers can go back to just being butchers. And the reason why I don't go to butchers, I'll go to grocery stores that have butchers inside of them, but I won't go to a butcher specifically, is because of the dramatic markup on basic items. And see, now if it's cheaper for me to go drive to the farm and go buy this and go drive to that farm and go buy that and blah blah blah, and I'm still getting it just as fresh or even fresher than it having to go to the butcher first, then it doesn't logically make sense or logically compute. And see, I think that this is where butchers, maybe they could, I don't know, discuss or whatever. But like if you, for example, get into beef, right? Like you go up to the farm right there, whatever, and you get yourself several, cows and have those slaughtered, just small enough that you can get it transported to your store. And then from there, now you're just offering a whole bunch of different cuts of beef and your specialty is beef. That would be a way of you being able to keep costs for yourself and therefore for the customer down while still giving them something fresh and, opening people's eyes to how much better it is for you to have a personal butcher. But what I'm noticing again is it's not like financially, it's not worth it. And I'm the type of person who You know, again, my fridge and pantry is all full of, you know, fresh foods. Like I had to go stock up on canned stuff and whatever because I'm so big on fresh food. Um, so, you know, you're talking to someone who is health conscious and who does care about the food that I'm eating and doesn't eat out fast food and whatever. And that's what I've noticed with the butchers is they're all into this specialty delicatessen, blah, blah, blah. Or if they're not, you know, their prices on basic stuff is it's just too costly.
Well,
You know, it's too much of a markup from the already highly overpriced grocery store. And at least the grocery store sometimes goes on sale. So you can look out for oh wait, pork's on sale this week. Oh, beef's on sale this week. Oh, ground beef's on sale this week, and pick that up then. You know what I mean? Like,
well, yeah. I'm like, but that's why I said it's going to be a reset, right? Because the butcher wasn't just the butcher. He was the cold cut man. He was the cold sandwich guy, right? Because we used to walk into the butcher, right? And this is what I'm saying, like where I grew up, like inner city, is when we used to go to the corner store, the butcher that's where you got your sandwich. You got he used to put it in that wax paper, but the convenience, right? Where you got the grocery store that has a thing with the local farms, and then they're shelling this in. Now the butcher, he can't buy in bulk because this farmer is selling how many slabs of cows to this, and he's got a contract. And then when the butcher comes in, now that the convenience of these stores and they're shutting their doors and you're talking this other stuff, now the demand for people are going to want to go here and do this. The reason why butchers cost a lot now is that this organic grass fed, it's a specialty thing, right? Where it's like, okay, I'm special. I'm really healthy if I go to a butcher, right? But if I go to the grocery store where it's cheaper, that's for general pop. And like Char was saying, people putting their hands all over the donuts, people breathing all over the saran wrap. You know what I'm saying? Like, now, Ruby, you may be different where you may go to the grocery store and actually ring the damn bell and have them cut your shit fresh, right? Which I do that too, right? I go to the grocery store, I ring the bell, and the butcher guy comes out, and I ask him for exactly the quantity amount, and he'll cut it up for me.
well, like, I'm Jamaican. I need goat and oxtail. That stuff, like,
Yeah.
they gotta cut it for you right back there. Some stewed beef and stuff. Yeah, but
yeah, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, and you know, even with the vegetables and stuff like that, like for me, when I here, I'll go to the grocery store to get certain items, right? But when it's time for me to get certain things like vegetables, I go to an actual vegetable place where it's nothing but vegetables. It's a mom and pop stand, and I walk in there and I gotta wash my potatoes off because they still got dirt on them because they just pulled them shits out of the ground, or
right.
the long onions or the beets or the you know, you gotta pull off that outer shell of the cabbage because it's actually grown from a local farm, right?
Right.
And the family that sells you the vegetables, right? They own the farm that it comes from. So it's that's why I say that's the good thing about living in where I live at. You know, and I'm used to that shit. I'm so used to it that if I buy some supermarket like produce, I can tell the difference just with the taste. Like I can tell the difference just with the taste of vegetables between the two, between the mom and pops and between the actually somebody in the lab that got the right percentage under the pristine conditions of having it in a aquaponic laboratory, because it's just clones. You're eating cloned food. It's not its own.
But you know what though, and here's the thing, like we can, and this is something we can consider, because again, it's kind of like the and that's why I said, you know, you want to get into this, a good thing would be to specialize in a particular meat, whether it's pork or beef or whatever it is. And the reason why I say that is because it's the same thing, for example, hair stores. Why is a hair store owned by a Black woman by herself. She's just starting out. Why doesn't she get business? Because everything is super expensive there versus the Chinese man store. Why is the Chinese man store cheaper? Well, because he has 5 times the floor space, so he can order each product 5 times more, which means that he's gonna, each piece is going to cost a lot cheaper. And so that's what I think you're getting with these butcher shops. They're getting smaller and smaller, and they have less and less demand, so they get less and less of everything. Which means if they're only getting a tiny amount shipped to them, that means that it's costing them a lot more. Which means it's going to cost the customer a lot more, right? Because they've got to care about overhead too and whatever. And that's why I said, well, hey, listen. And I know for sure even if they just did it as a normal person like me, I can go to a farm and I can go buy a goat or a cow or whatever, and they'll slaughter it for me, right? So now I know I can do that as an individual. That means you could do it as an individual who owns a butcher shop, and you can go get yourself a few cows, right? Get them slaughtered for you. And then the way that you carve it up, so you've got the steaks, you've got the this, you've got the that, and whatever, right? You're going to be able to now specialize, get a lot of beef at a cheap rate, at a cheap amount, you know what I mean? Instead of having to get, well, I'll get 2 chickens, and I'll get half a cow, and I'll get a quarter of a goat, and you know what I mean? Like and the thing is like, on one side, we're going to talk about how it would be great to have these butcher shops and have more in our neighborhoods and whatever. But I'm saying, hey, listen, people are thinking about the fact that they want to own their own businesses. They want to have these things in the community. Well, shoot, here's how you start looking into having these things in your community. Is you want to start a business, you want one of these things in your community, you have a need for it, one doesn't exist anywhere nearby, boom. This can be your project. This can be something that you're going to provide,
Exactly. Like, and I think what's going to happen, that this is going to set, that's what I said, it's going to reset things back, right? Where there's a need, people are going to start opening up these businesses, and people are going to start going back to relying on a community and a neighborhood, right? And that's where this global economy, or this what I would call cross-state economy in the United States, because not a lot of people travel outside the United States, believe it or not. It is actually more people from, like, the other countries that travel back and forth between each other. The United States is really isolated. Like, people don't even travel really from state to state or coast to coast like that, right? So it's going to go back. The people are going to get back into their hovels and realize how much that they need other people, right? Like, what makes you really relish personal interactions with folk when you can't have it? Like, we were talking about how these young kids were foolish, but think about what we was complaining about before, how these young kids don't interact with each other, only on the internet. Right? Now you're telling them to do the thing that you told them not to do, and what they're going to naturally do. Do the thing that you tell them not to do. Because they're rebelling, right? You tell them to go outside, they stay inside. You tell them to stay inside, they go outside. You kick them in and out of the house.
Well, that's always been with humans, as far as with children.
Yep.
And child psychology, it's been theorized by a number of them, whether it was Carl Jung or even Piaget, that the more that you withhold or deny something from a child, the more it increases and exacerbates their urge and desire to have it. So you tell them, oh, you can't go outside, the more it increases their urge to go outside. And the more you tell you they can't have an object, the more it increases their urge and desire to have said object, even if they don't know what said object is for, even if they don't know why they shouldn't go outside.
Well, that's definitely happening to a lot of us. We want to go outside, and we're told to stay in. But I understand it's more so of a mental thing. We understand it, but mentally it's like, man, I want to go out. Why can't I go out? I want to go out. Please.
But I think this is like that new trick bag, right? Like we kill off the old people. The young people are not engaging with each other personally. They're not tribing up like they need to for growth, right? And they're living vicariously through the internet. So what we need to do is we need to kill off these old people. We need to have these young people rebel and actually make more babies because they're not making a lot of babies, right? So we're going to tell them that they can't do something, and we know that they're going to do it. With
Well, I don't know with this many Delta class males in society, they very well may create a recipe for more rapists per capita in society. Because a lot of these dudes they're socially awkward. I mean, their primary complaint is that of lack of sexual access.
well,
Already.
Well, you know what the crazy part is, Rui? I think because if they're afraid to talk to a woman, right, and if a woman is daring enough, right, women don't take unnecessary risks unless the environment is if she feels comfortable within that environment, right? Women are very intelligent and very smart and very savvy. So if you see most of the time, right, if the women that were out there, right, and they were disobeying the curfew, there were men there ensuring that she was secure in the disobeying of the curfew, right? So these Delta males don't even have it in their system. You see what I'm saying? To even do that, they will follow along and they will be in the house. They will just be mad, right? They'll be put back into their cages because think about that the internet was the thing that they have where they can interact with these women. You know what I mean? You can be brave on the internet typing behind a keyboard and an avatar, but in person, you looking like Boo Boo the Fool, right? Or she doesn't even know that you exist, and you wouldn't even be allowed in her airspace because there will be so many men blocking you. You wouldn't even, that hierarchy, you wouldn't even be allowed in the inner circle to even get close to her. Right?
No, well, the thing is that women, for the most part, are more agreeable, so therefore they would stay in the house. It's usually the males that are more rebellious to authority than females.
Hmm?
But we got women right here.
Hmm?
We got women right here.
Hmm?
Oh.
Hmm?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
I mean, when you really look
What
at
did
it, mass rebellion in every generation is always literally started by the male upstarts.
Ooh.
Mm.
Ooh.
say that again?
In every generation, major and massive rebellions are always created by the new younger male upstarts.
You know, I would agree with that, Cerulean, but let me say this. I think, and I call me crazy on this, but I think when a man when he thinks about doing something great, especially after, I'm not trying to pat women on the back, but I've done this personally. And when I was in relationships and I thought about doing something that maybe was a little bit off the beaten path or a little bit, a little bit, not to, I won't say risque, but, taking a gamble at it, I always found myself wanting to convey with my chick first before I even took the next step to make it real. Or maybe that's just me, but I think.
Of course,
I mean, that's called functional relationship.
of course, we always seek wise counsel whenever we are unsure as men.
You know what? Because the elder said that, you know what, that is true because before I do anything, that I would consider putting not putting the household in jeopardy, but financial wise of moving resources to something of investment, I would ask her input on it
Mm-hmm.
so I can get a different preview. And so it's because I'm married. It like they say, happy wife, happy life. If I'm not upsetting the net
Right.
while I'm conquering the environment, and she can take care of this while I'm over here slaying the dragons,
Mm-hmm.
right? And just in case the dragon whipped my ass, I got a place to recover, and she ain't mad at me.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, yeah, I
Let's,
mean,
let, me- let,
Well,
let, let me let me let me take everybody back to their childhood for a minute. Mom and dad was at the house, right?
mm-hmm.
If daddy was mad, we don't care. Daddy mad. No big deal. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
If mama was mad, oh shit.
Mm-hmm.
Daddy walked on eggshells. Junior walked on eggshells. Everybody, because mama was mad.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So,
and I'll say
what I'm
this.
saying.
On one side,
Mm-hmm.
right, you've got the whole respect factor, right? So if my husband's going to make some major move that is going to impact the household, the finances, our entire lives, and he doesn't at least let me know, something before it happens, he lets me know after the fact, oh yeah, by the way, right? I would feel disrespected by that, right? Like, it's not that you need to ask my permission, right? But I'm part of this network too, and you know what I mean. You can't just make unilateral moves. You didn't say a word to me. Like, what am I? Am I just literally the help? Um, and
well,
then,
no,
but there's
what
the
is
other
happening?
side to it. And the other side is this, right? So we think about that side, and yes, I feel disrespected. But there's the other side, which is that men and women's brains think differently, move differently, and focus on different aspects of any problem, of any situation. So when you're running it by her, you've already got, the male brain. You understand what the male brain understands. Now the female brain is about to go look at this from a different perspective and bring up the stuff that she focuses on, right? And then ultimately, yeah, you're going to have a back and forth. She might have an opinion, whatever it is, but she's going to illuminate the other points that you might not have focused on. And so now you've got a whole extra perspective, on the macro and on the micro levels that you are now using to make your final decision instead of, just that one side. So it gives you a much clearer perspective to base your decisions on. And then, so to me, my husband doesn't come to me. It's almost like he's saying that, that input, that ability that I have to analyze things, and the way that I do is it doesn't have value. Right. And that
Well,
Right.
would be the last thing I would expect.
what is happening in every society once it comes to a certain point in society where every society, um, whether it's patriarchal, matriarchal, authoritarian, totalitarian, democratic, public, there's always a major push towards egalitarian. And the thing is the reason why they've started conditioning people with the happy wife, happy life is because we just talked about this earlier, Dre. The cult of domesticity
Mhm.
failed, and under the cult of domesticity, it allowed men to literally gamble away their family's existence.
Yep.
You with without so much as any kind of punishment, pushback. They were able to abandon their families at will whenever they wanted to, and just leave their families, the women and children, kind of to fend for themselves. Uh, the state early on, especially here in America, realized that was a tremendous failure. That's why it started beginning that push for egalitarianism under what you would call women's suffrages. Um,
Mm.
and now it's happy wife, happy life, and that's why people that are used to tradition, and not all traditions are good. You know, some traditions lead populations to total extinction.
Yeah.
Um,
And if I jump in on that, I wouldn't say again. Maybe I would agree, but I'll digress and disagree on that. I don't think it's so much a traditional thing. I don't think it's something that I think it's with a lot of things. I think some people are born with it. That you understand the value of what it is to be in a committed relationship. You understand the value of what it is. You can be the alpha male without surrendering your identity of being such. And just because you confer with your chick, whether she your wife, whether she your girlfriend, or whether she your baby's mama, if you make rash decisions or crash decisions, it affects your whole family. That affects the person that you so call yourself wanting to be, man, man.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And just to point out the fact that you would think a man was foolish if he didn't work in the financial sector and he invested a shit ton of money in some stock before consulting with his financial advisor. Um, so in that way, you have literally a partner in life. So unless you chose very, very badly, you've chosen this partner in life, presumably because they have intelligence and other skills that you respected, admired, and felt you needed within your household and within this partnership of life. So why would you shouldn't feel any type of insecurity or whatever by consulting with your life partner about life decisions. It doesn't make any sense. Again, this is not about, oh, well, I have to ask permission before I can make a movement. Anyone who sees it that way is being so reductive that it tells me they do not understand functional relationships at all. It's not about permission. You know what I mean? It's about intelligence. Why would you not want the perspective of the other person, the only other person in your life really that is going to be wholly and completely affected by this major life decision? Obviously, they're going to want to consult with you, but they're going to want to give you the best possible advice and the most well-rounded advice, so that way you can make the best possible decision. You can't necessarily say that about friends or family or other people who, hey, you're screwed. Well, you tried and that's it. It doesn't affect them.
Yeah. It's like I agree with what I'm like with Ruby and Cerulean and Daryl just said is it's just a lot of men if you and this is just in this situation because there's going to be a lot of people making kids in this situation, right? You
yeah,
can't
they're gonna be known as the Corona generation in 20 years.
exactly right. It's like the 2020, the Corona babies, like the babies 2020, and
Yeah.
it's going to be crazy because it's like you came together out of necessity. Like, do you realize that the 2020 babies are going to be the new generation of the future boomers?
Mm.
Like, how did the baby boomers come into play? Right? They came into play after the war. Birth rates were down. Young men were pretty much dead. It was old people all over the place. The country went into a recession, right? Like a depression, all that crazy stuff, right? And then they had to start making these babies, right? And then they had the roaring 60s and 70s where the young folk was everywhere and floating and going to college but not graduating, turning into drug addicts, doing all types of stuff. Woodstock was going here and whatever. And what does the country need? Now, right now, the 2020s is what do we have? We have a technological evolution. The young people are making their money, but they're not engaging with each other. They're not making these babies. Oh, people are living older because of the big pharma medical system, but they're living older because of the advances in technology, but they're not dying off quicker. And you're having birth rates are so low. So what do you need to do is we need all these necessity babies, right? And we need them to fill in that lower to lower middle class, right? But we also need them to be assimilated, right? Because the racism thing ain't working, because if you got everybody assimilated in proxy and melding together with the gentrification and pushing all the poor whites and poor blacks together and the poor Latinos and the poor Asians together, you're going to get this amalgamation of Americans that's just the lower class, and what you're going to have is a separation between the purebreds and the mixed generation. That's just my aluminum hat rant.
Well, I would think that's been throughout the course of history. We all know that about Hitler. You know, he tried to create a master race. We all know that about Stalin and some folks over in Korea and China as well. You know, again, with what's happening here in the United States, again, it's not anything new. It's just the way it's reported right now. And unfortunately, the way the 25 to 45 folks get their news right now is fast and furious, and that's the majority. There's nothing against that, but you know, sometimes a cold slap of reality is the best dose of folks telling you what's going on. You know, as Cerulean said, you know, if you look in Congress in any picture, you see a bunch of blue hairs in there. So the same rules that applied back in the 60s is the same rules that applies today's. And anytime someone steps up and challenging that, instead of young population jumping behind her, they'll go to the latest scandal, like in this case of AOC, just because she backs Bernie Sanders. You know, no one talks about that. But the first time Trump said, send them back, you know, everybody got mad about that. That's not anything new. We expect that. It's not anything new.
Well, you know,
So, in a lot of cases, you know, go ahead.
well, you know, the interesting thing about Stalin, because with Stalin, well, Stalin, he thought himself a genius. But he was, if he was the master of anything, it was harebrained ideas. Um, One of his plans was literally to uh, put listening devices, i.e., miniaturized two-way radios, onto cats to try to flush out uh, Western Allied spies. Um, the problem is that the cats are naturally drawn together, and there's just like a total mess. It's all he wanted was some cat pussy, but that didn't work. Another one of his harebrained ideas was to try to make a Superman that was part ape, right, using ape DNA. Um, that didn't work because the the products of which still came out very ape-like, and they literally went ape shit and like destroyed the lab, uh, to where they actually had to burn the lab down because these things were so
Right.
dangerous. Um, Now, when I see those kids out on the beach, it's a lot. They also like, oh, a bunch of stupid kids. But what I literally see is one of those kids being a part of something, some group, some special group of people who would likely go on to try to make the next group of supermen out of monkey DNA. That's what I see on
Mm.
the when I see like the beach picture.
Well, there's always one in the bunch. There is, unfortunately, there is, as they say, there is that one super genius among them. You know, whether you like Hitler, or whether you like Stalin, or whether you know, like
Caesar.
Martin Luther King, or whether you like Caesar Chavez or Caesar. You know, these guys, Napoleon. These guys had brilliant minds. You know, a brilliant mind lasts the test of time like a good song. So we're always making reference to these guys, you know, but we don't pay attention to them. And they tell us exactly what's wrong with society. They pre-warned us by their writings, by what they did, by their actions, if we don't steer away from that course. A lot of times, you know, every January 15th, we talk about Martin Luther King, but we settled for the fact of We settle for the fact of it might be the second Monday. His birthday is January 15th. Why we got to celebrate it on the 17th? It's what you'll settle for. And that's what happened to us. That's why we're still talking about slavery. That's because that's what we settled for. Instead of kicking ass when we had the chance when they set us free, we settled for running back.
No,
We settled for working for them again.
I see. My thing is
Go ahead,
that
Cerulean.
it's like it's never too late to get back into the habit of kicking ass. Like that's where I stand. Yeah.
Absolutely, and that's what's needed. And if you use that terminology that you speak of those brothers over there, I want to speak on them just for a second. Derelict Negroes is what you call them.
Yeah, the derelict Negro male.
Yeah, could you say that for me one time so I can
Uh,
lead into it?
Derelict Negro male, also known as the Delta class male or D level males.
Okay, this is directed at you folks here. Listen, what you don't understand, a woman is a case study, and you fellas have failed miserably at it. You get into these chat rooms and you talk about how bad these black women or these women have gone to, but yet you go to other countries and you buy coochie like it's food stamps. And then you got the nerve to come back over here saying, what's wrong with black women? What's wrong with you?
I would
No disrespect, but go
I would
go
like to
go
I
one
would like
second.
to say, Elder,
Go ahead.
they don't buy
Hmm.
it. They give them stove.
I was gonna speak on that, or you go over there and buy them stoves. Like Frank Sinatra said, what kind of fool am I to go halfway across the world to buy the stove to, excuse my language, ladies listening, to fuck?
Yeah, yeah. You know, it's funny because the guy that actually did that referred to me as an idiot, right? And it's like you went halfway around the world, really a quarter of the way around the world, to buy a stove for a chick who, whenever you met her, the thing that you're demanding black women do, i.e., cook and clean for you, well, we know she couldn't at least cook for you. When there's, when he probably have an easier time walking down the street, slipping on a banana peel, and literally accidentally falling into some legs.
Listen, all I can say is, and I tell my son this is one thing that's certain. In every relationship, it sometimes it fails. You did all you could do. A woman had enough of you, or you had enough of the woman. But just like the bus stop, you stand there long enough, you'll catch another one, and hopefully that journey will last a little bit longer. But sometimes you fools stay on the bus too damn long. And then you get on these groups on the internet and say, damn it, I can't stand that bitch. I hate her, man. And
Well,
then you rally around a leader that spreads it like it's wildfire, like it's the thing to do. Not knowing that white America is looking at this. You don't see white men on YouTube dogging their women like we dog ours. Whatever wrong in them. And with none of them are perfect. I
Yeah,
have not met a black woman on this earth that's perfect. Not near one. They fine, they funny, but they damn sure ain't perfect.
yeah. As a
And
matter of
y'all let
fact,
them know that.
you hit on an important part. There's a website that I follow called the Order of Man. It's actually a white website because I always look at what they're doing. Now these white dudes claim to be, like red pill and all of this other nonsense, right? And yet these red pill white males advocating for marrying um, literally in mass. They're advocating for families. They're advocating for responsibility, which I just think is interesting because this same red pill ideology is where this derelict Negro male got it from. And yet the white male who he got it from is advocating for families, marriages, and responsibility. While whenever it comes to the derelict Negro male, he's advocating for a life of carefree, no worry, instant gratification, no responsibility, no duty. Um, he basically looks at women as a frozen TV dinner. Black women are like a hungry jack meal to the derelict Negro male. Just pop them into the microwave, and they should be ready within 3 minutes.
Right. See, the thing about that is that trips me out. A lot of the shows that I've listened to, and ladies, we're not trying to exclude you, but I think this is kind of one of the things that opportunity strikes. So you got to hit when the iron's hot. But what I've noticed in a lot of these, what do they call them? SYBM, Save Yourself Black Men. And 1 second they're saying, well, my mama used to tell me. But in the next minute they're saying, wait a minute, isn't that an oxymoron? You're praising a black woman, but you're about to try and tear her down in the next 6 words out your mouth. Does it make sense? You guys are easy target for guys like me. I'm not here to come out here and date near one of these black women on the internet. But I'll be damned as a grown black man if I'm going to stand by and someone points me in the direction. If I catch one of you guys out there disrespecting black women like y'all do, if you talk about white women, that's your business. If white man don't stand up and protect his own, I ain't got nothing to do with that. But the way some of you folks out there, go ahead, Ruby.
No, I was just going to say, and here's the thing. So I will say this, right? I mean, obviously, MGTOW was started by a bunch of, angry white men. Now, with that being said, though, if you listen to what MGTOW men are saying, they aren't saying white women. They're complaining about all women, right? They're not singling
all
out
women.
white,
Well,
even though their
actually,
only experience is with white women and they're only talking about white women. They do not say all white women this, all white women that. They're just putting down all women in general. All women suck.
what they're saying is coded language. What they're saying is westernized women. That's like
Right.
the code language that they use.
Right, but they're literally actually talking about westernized women. They wouldn't be like, oh, well, I'm surprised that this black westernized woman is like that, or this Asian westernized. No, they really do mean every woman who lives on this continent sucks, right? So they're not actually saying, they're not calling out white women. It's really only us that are going to sit there. And honestly, in all fairness, I can't really think of white women who are sitting there calling out white men the way that we do. Like, we have this dysfunction where we think we got it from white culture, but if you listen closely, they don't do what we do. They don't sit there and throw their men or their women under the bus. They don't sit there and call out their own as specifically being dysfunctional versus everyone else, like it's some genetic thing or something, right? They talk about the culture. They talk about the society. They don't talk about their genes.
Right. And the difference is, Ruby, they have a website. So that means you have to go and find it. All you got to do is click on YouTube, type in a few words, and it's free.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And see, and that's, and again, right? When two wrongs don't make a right, right? And I'm always the one to sit there and point out both sides of any equation. So I'm going to say, I have never heard another culture of people, period, spend all their time, anyone spending all their time just talking about how much the men or the women from their culture suck and how great the culture, someone else's culture of men and women are. Right. So we have, and again, we've bought into a dysfunction that we think we got from someone else, but they're not doing it. They're not doing it. So they're not getting the same consequences.
That's the way subversion works.
Mm-hmm.
From years of having worked closely to counterintelligence, how subversion typically works
Right.
is you got to understand it's based on the principle of human psychology, herd mentalities, and whatnot.
Right.
For instance, if I wanted to subvert a person into being Christian, I would come as a Christian,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
I would give them all of the great things about Christianity and none of the bad things about Christianity.
Of course. Yep.
Now, if I want to subvert a person to be anti-black, it would be just the opposite. I would come, uh, say, as a person that is perceiving black culture and give them and load them up on all of the negative things of
Hmm.
black culture and none of the good.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
If you're trying to destroy black culture, which we get enough folks doing that. You can find that on any street corner, like McDonald's. It's there. You ain't got to look for it. It's there.
You know, when Ruby was saying that they don't do it, and I can understand what Ruby's saying from, in America, right? And this is how it translates to Americans, right? Subconsciously.
Mhm.
When one of those white men say all women, we know the translation of that word means white women,
white means
Mhm.
white. Yeah.
right? When you have to be specific about a woman, you mean every other woman but the white woman, right? So let me give you an example, right? I
Mhm.
say all women, right? When I say, I don't say all, I say some, right?
Mhm.
My wife isn't black, so I don't speak on relationship issues with black people, right? I've given up that right when I got married. Right. That's just one of the cause of effects. I understand that. I swallow that. So when I defer to anything or say anything about a relationship between a man and a woman, I say women, and I don't say all because there's nothing definite in the universe, right? I say
Mhm.
the majority, or if it's a personal experience, I make sure I say it's personal, right? This is my interaction, not all women, not most women, but this is just what happened to me, and I proceed. But because I'm a black man, and if I say women or most, and that means that I've dealt with multiple women, and I'm just giving you an overview. When a white man says women, you automatically get that he's talking about white women. That's it. End of story. If he says Asian women or this woman or that woman, we all know what they really mean. They don't come out and say white women because white women are the majority in the United States. And I'm just talking from the United States standpoint.
Mhm.
So when they say women, they throwing their women underneath the bus. Matter of fact, the last time you seen a black man load up a gun, go to a yoga studio, and mow down some women,
Mhm.
right?
Oh no, absolutely, and that's what I said.
Yeah.
Obviously, the obvious implication, if their whole dating experience is obviously white people, they're only using white women as their examples, and so on and so forth. They're talking about white women, right? But I'm saying that if you listen, and because words do have power, right? And every time, right, that they don't choose to slap white before men or white before women, right? There is an added additional slap down to the entire race and the entire culture every time we add the word black, right? Because then what it does is it does actually exclude when we say black men or black women, what we are doing then, instead of allowing people to assume we must mean black women or whatever, maybe Western, what we're doing is we are excluding every other kind of woman. We are
Oh, yeah.
excluding every other kind of man by putting that black label on there. And again, it's then the implication isn't just your experience, it's literally almost saying they're genetically defective, right?
Exactly.
Well,
By
I
adding
mean,
that extra
See,
word in for no reason.
let me say this about YouTube. YouTube is a numbers racket. Am I correct? The more views,
Uh-huh.
the more people able to see it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
if you got a black video of a young black male or a young black female graduating, it gets what the average family views, right?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some close friend views, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Might top 100, might top 200 over the years, sitting there in the dusties.
Over the years, yep. I had to giggle at that. It's so true.
Right. But if you go and pull up one of them hood fight videos or black woman bashing videos, how many views do they have?
Huh. Too many.
It's the way that it's publicized. Like
Yeah.
Right. So
when you look at mainstream
right,
media,
by we kill ourselves exactly by what we watch and what they watch. We're not the only people watching these videos, folks.
no, I mean, they publicize this to all of America. I mean, that's why you'll see 9 o'clock news in the morning, right? It's the firemen rescuing the cat out of the tree. It's you know the school play, the local school play. It's you know. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Most of the time, they're only highlighting whites. And then when it gets to the 6 o'clock news,
Mm.
in
Who
its
on
own
it? Front and
vampiric,
center.
in its own vampiric way, this is it's nigga time. Okay,
Right. Coming up at 6, we have some dramatic footage of a car chase when the police gunned down and killed the suspect. 21-year-old Daryl Jenkins
you have to do
was
any.
fatally shot 47 times.
Yeah, you don't even have to say any of that, right? You can literally replace every word that they say with the word nigga, right? Hey,
Right.
coming up at 6, some other niggas that some other niggas
Right.
these other niggas over here, and then these niggas, let me just say
Hey.
6 o'clock, more
Hey,
niggas.
so then they go to the interview and they interviewing another nigga. Well, what you see? Well, I seen that nigga. He got shot. He got shot. He got shot. That nigga got smoked.
Man, and then that nigga over there did this and then black eye witness man's like, yeah, because that nigga over there, man, and that nigga, man, that was messed up, man. And that nigga did that, man, and that nigga there, man.
I don't know what that nigga said, but he said something though. I don't know. Next thing I know, they start shooting. I ran over there because he dropped his wallet when he was running.
Or even when it's not even a black assailant or a black perpetrator. It gets so abstract that you think that they're talking about somebody black, and you don't even know they're talking about somebody white.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Nigga running.
News. I know.
Nigga running out the mall with listen. Nigga running out the mall with everybody. He the only one to get shot.
Yeah, like for instance, right?
How does that happen? Ask yourself that. Think about the scene.
Just seconds ago, before the nigga clock news started,
Right.
6 people were gunned down in a drive-by. Now they said people, they didn't say niggas, they said people.
They said people.
Drive-by, and what perks your ears is you instantly think that it's niggas because they have made drive-by synonymous with black folks.
I got a question for black folks. I want y'all to answer this. Why y'all put them old teddy bears at the memorial?
Look, you know what? Here's the funny part, right? Niggas don't do that. See, I'm gonna say this real quick, right? Niggas don't do that, right? And the reason why I'm gonna tell you this is, have you walked in a black person's house and seen a fresh new teddy bear anywhere?
Never.
Exactly.
Not unless there's some babies. Not unless there's some babies in the house and they got a hold of it.
And they got a hold of it, and you got to throw it away, right? You got to snatch it from the baby. You got to wash it, put it in the wash machine. That's a white people.
Germ City.
See, when white people see a memorial, like, look, black people don't go to gravestones. It's not a black person thing. Once you're dead, you're in the ground, it's over, right? White people like to go and talk to the goddamn headstone. They like to miss you when you're gone and all that other stuff, right? Black folk don't do that.
We release balloons in the parking lot.
You know what?
We pour out
pour it out on the sidewalk. You know what I mean? Take a little.
Okay, wait.
You know what I mean?
Been a
Like,
year since he been gone.
yeah, you know what I
Pull it
mean?
out.
Now you might get a Facebook post, right? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You know, to bring it
I,
and whatever with your grieving. But nah, that's white
right.
folk. So when you
Niggas
see
will
that
actually
person,
go
I miss.
down to the print shop, get T-shirts made,
yeah,
R.I.P. to such and such, and then go put it at the site. But
yep.
they ain't putting no damn teddy bear.
You know, you get the local artist to draw a picture of him. You know what I'm saying? That Big Mama had
Right.
that he was
Right.
looking good.
How they get? How they get them shirts so fast?
You know
Is
what?
it planned?
I,
Same day printing. Same day printing.
look, hey, somebody at the print shop got it. You take that picture, shoot, look, like it's amazing. Like I can tell if you had life insurance by looking at your obituary, right? If it got them lines
Mm,
through it, you know what I mean, through the picture, yeah, you ain't had no life insurance
mm.
in the collection.
They made
But
them at home on the computer.
yeah, not even home at the computer, you
Uh,
know.
That goes for
Auntie,
I'm
some.
running out of ink. Shit.
no,
I'm
no,
running out of ink.
the
Oh
auntie that
yeah.
worked out
I
at
ain't
Social
making but a.
Security, she was sneaking and doing it on the government computer.
Well, see, that's how poverty plays a role on Black life. People
Yeah.
don't understand why is printer ink right more expensive than a damn printer.
Yeah.
Why is that?
It's a part of a communication lockdown. How do you keep the
That's
poor?
putting up.
Yeah, how do you keep the poor from communicating with each other? Well, you make
Mm.
things like printer ink more expensive than the printer itself.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
exactly. You know
You
what I
can
mean?
get the printer. You can get right. You can get the printer, but what you gonna put in it after you run out of that? Come with the still cartridge.
Yeah, that's why they downtown at Social Security using the construction paper, the yellow thin paper, for the obituary. That's why I got that yellow tint to it.
Right. I
Yeah,
heard you guys earlier, Shaw and Ruby. Y'all were talking about the stimulus package and what people should do with it. You know, of course, that's that old proverb: "A fool and his money shall part." There's no doubt about that. There's some people gonna get that money and they gonna throw it away, whether it be 1,200, whether it be 500. They already plotting on what they're gonna spend it on.
If you
Okay,
get
probably
anything
gonna be
from it,
nothing.
I say go and invest in some. If you find a toilet paper stock at a reasonable rate, and say I
Buy
don't
it,
know $3 a share, I'd say use
buy it.
use 300 of that and get 100 shares of it.
I, I'm
Yep,
I'm
buy
gonna
it.
ask
Now,
this.
now that they're out of
It's,
stock everywhere,
see,
get back in stock.
actually, actually, it really is. This for us that realize it is what I'm saying. Us as in black folks, this is the time. If we realize this is the time for us to come up on the economic level, because they have no choice now but to shut down.
Yeah,
The coronavirus did that for them. They have no choice. So it's either now it's time to put up or shut up. You can't
Yeah,
say at 2020 that you didn't have some kind of idea of what was going on, because it's plastered all over the news. It's on the internet. They're making it possible for you not to be able to pay your bills for maybe the next 3 or 4 months. Now,
mm,
what you gonna do with this hand? And in some cases, they've been giving us handouts for such a long time. But in this case, if people look at this money that they're about to get, and instead of going out and spending it on a car, something that just depreciates, this is time to go look at some stocks. That's how they built their wealth.
I would say it's okay to spend
That's
it on some cars because I would tell you this during a shutdown like this, you could clean up on an auction site.
mm.
yeah, you can,
Yeah,
You
you
want
get
to have your
because
own
eventually you will need them. Yeah,
what
if
you
you want
going.
to have
eventually you will need them.
if you
Yeah,
want to
Yes,
have your own
because
little
right now,
little used car lot, this is the time to clean up on these auction sites. I was looking at
right,
some cars that was going as low as $50.
right,
Wow.
right. There it is. There it is. I mean, for those of you folks that still get the Sunday newspaper, of course, there's always that section in the tax section, and it tells you what property is up for sale.
Mm-hmm.
Been seized by the government. All you got to do is go pay the property taxes on this, and it's yours. This is the time to come up. This is the
Oh,
time to be looking. The internet, you have the tool right there in front of you for free. All you got to do is type it in. Google Map is taking pictures of every damn thing. They can look in your backyard, tell you where your wheelbarrow at. I saw it myself.
yeah. Like, but I'm gonna say this, y'all. Y'all ain't gonna get these. Y'all gonna get these damn tax returns right around Easter. So I want to see y'all in the front pews with your new Easter bonnets on, giving the reverend the rest of your
Right,
tax stimulus money. You need to stay your black ass in the
right,
house.
right.
Yeah, as a matter
She
of
looks
fact,
so good in her pink Easter dress.
as a matter of fact, you got a great point there because uh, tragedy is, and it's a shame to say, but tragedy is where black folks shine at.
Yep.
We shine in tragedy. We've
Yeah,
always shined in tragedy, and
yeah,
this tragedy
absolutely.
is no different than any other. This is a time to
Yep.
uh, literally circle our wagons. Uh, one of the things that you can do, if you're a person with a lot of room in your house, and some of your people is probably gonna be evicted by the time this thing is over. As a matter of fact, one of the things that you can do if you got a room or two in your house is just have them come on in and take that room and keep those resources in your house
Mm-hmm.
so that they're not throwing it
Absolutely.
away.
I, I agree wholeheartedly because there is folks, regardless of whether we want to believe this or not, there is going to be a time that unfortunately it's either you're going to be faced to rely on the people that's closest to you. You're not going to be able to trust your friend Sandy down the street because Sandy has her own agenda. You're not going to be able to trust Ralph from your job. Ralph has his own agenda. In times like this, when folks are faced with their own mortality, of course they're going to look out for number one. You become second to them. You become third if they have a family.
But the problem is that in times of tragedy, rugged individuals are always the first to die.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's why I think that's
absolutely.
the
They
reason why
want.
we've always shined in tragedy. Because back in the day, people say, "Well, how did black folk survive during one of the harshest times of Jim Crow?" Well, we kind of stuck together. We were actually a community. We looked out for one another and each other's kids. There was no rugged individual.
And
Right,
to be honest with you, even though Jim Crow was going down, right, the black folk that got caught was the niggas that was operating outside of their community, mostly.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, some of them, that's what killed a lot of black business during that time. This is one of the pathologies that a lot of black folk have had throughout these centuries is they assume that once they get into business that they're somehow impervious to racism.
Mm-hmm.
To get a lot of money, they think that they're impervious to the system at large. And as a result, I mean, you look at the lynchings. Who were they lynching? They were lynching a lot of the business owners. You know that especially this white male, the most dangerous of white males, is the one who just lost his benefits
Mhm.
and has the Bible in one hand and the gun in the other.
Yep.
that's absolutely it. They always carry that into. See, I like to liken it like this, and I think I learned this as a child a long time ago. I like white society as in the big bad wolf and the three little pigs.
Mm-hmm.
You when it comes to business, you build this business, and they huff and they puff, and they blow that business down. And then you build it. What you thinking is something stronger, and here he comes along blowing that business down. After a while, you learn to start building things that's impervious to them. So sooner or later, I think we're at the point or at the cusp now of thinking that. Like the three little pigs, you can huff and you can puff, but you're not about to blow this house down. I think if we catch that mentality, we'll be all right. If not,
Yeah, man, I've had a
it's,
long time dream, man, that if I was ever to, make it into the upper multimillionaire region, that I would go across the country buying every closed down military base I could. Problem is
mhm.
that, yeah, Tyler Perry kind of beat me to the punch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
absolutely he did.
I'm like,
He
that's
absolutely did.
hey, but see, but Cerulean, not the fret. There's military bases and shit closing down. There's like Army Reserve shit. There's missile silos closing down that they trying to get rid of. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah. So it's
but
excellent fallout bunkers, missile silos.
yeah, yeah. Like I saw one on Discovery Channel. Some white dude in Nevada brought himself a missile silo. It's a whole city underneath there. He got. And
Oh yeah,
you
you talking about the one that was that had its own nuclear power plant that would power that bunker for like 100 years or something like that.
yeah, and then he got like a
Mm.
pool in there with a fake sky in there, different areas and stuff. I was like, look at
Oh yeah,
this
I
here.
mean
Right?
he's making
Yeah.
over 100 kilowatts of energy. You know, generating over 100 kilowatts of energy. There's nothing that as far as building he can't do. I mean, he's got a power plant that is really designed to power a city the size of Chicago.
Yeah.
Uh,
And he gets a
well,
grant. He don't even gotta
yeah.
run it. They send somebody out there to run it for him. They
yeah.
pay him money to have a guy run it for him and give him some money so they can charge people in Las Vegas for power.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking about one that was sold about 2 years ago. If you remember, that one that sold for like $1 million was bought by it's one of those LGBTQ groups.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
This whole idea of buying up military bases and spaces like that came from the sale of Treasure Island off the in the Bay of San Francisco.
Yep.
They originally the government was against civilians owning the military bases, but I guess enough lobbyists and enough folks put up enough money that were just like what Vanderbilt jeans. It became fashionable for folks with money to
no,
go
you
out and
know
buy
what
these
happened?
military
You know what happened?
bases.
DJ Music is that literally the reason why they had to sell them is because it was during the time 1974. Um, during the time um, America started liquidating a lot of its assets. That's why you
Hmm.
don't, that's why you don't see a lot of military bases in Middle America anymore, in like the Midwest. You see a
Mhm.
few. Like for instance, the Navy only trains in one place now.
Yeah. It used to
That's
be
in Great Lakes, Illinois.
yeah, because it used to be
Right.
Florida, was it California and Great Lakes.
Yeah, it used to be Norfolk. You could go Norfolk or
Yeah, the
San
Norfolk or
Diego, Great Lake.
Yeah.
yeah, I think at one point for the longest time they did have three places. Depends on what region that they what recruiter that they talked to, of where they went to boot camp at.
Yeah.
Well, I am going to end the show here. We're a little bit over 3 hours, which was fine. We had great conversation.
Ooh,
And
damn, look at us.
and I want to thank you all for coming to the show and joining in, participating. I appreciate it. And everyone in the chat room, thank you for your discussion in the chat room, joining in. I want to mention to kind of sum up all that we've said and talked about. This is new. We've never seen this before. This is what we're experiencing. Um, Next week could be something better. Um, could look bad. We never know. But we will come back next Friday. We'll talk about a little bit. And as far as all this saving yourself, I want to see who's going to save themselves from this coronavirus. That's what I'm going to be watching.
Mm.
So until next week, you guys have a great week. Be safe. Defer, defer, defer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll see you next time. Peace, everyone.
All right.
All right.
Cheers, y'all.
Have a great night, everybody.
Yeah.
Right. Move to the nation.